Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat here, back again with another brand new video. So today I will be no damaging a majority. Wait, David Hayter's talking.
After the end of World War II, the world was split into two, East and West. This marked the beginning of the era called the Cold War.
Alright, he's done talking. So yeah, I will be no damaging a majority of Snake Eater. I will be no damaging all the boss fights. And I will be getting the Foxhound rank. And I will also lose 0 life bars. I don't know, it's a ranking thing at the end of the video, you can check it there. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be the video. So, I don't know, here we're going to start off in a pretty safe area, which is kind of weird for Metal Gear. Like, I don't know, I mean, with Metal Gear Solid, like, 1 and 2, you kind of start off in some of the more complicated areas of the game. Like, this is more true for, like, the first Metal Gear Solid, which, like, the second area is probably the most complicated like stealth challenge in the entire game. While here this game's a little bit more paced out with its difficulty. So here we're gonna start off with some pretty like easy challenges here and there. Like I don't know, the harder stuff comes like way later in the game. So yeah, it's like that's a cool thing to have. Kind of a nice improvement from like the previous games, which kind of front loaded its difficulty at the beginning, while here we're kind of pacing it out a little bit more. So yeah, there's not much strategy to talk about here. I will say this is my favorite Metal Gear Solid game out of the bunch, and that's not exactly an unpopular opinion to say, but it's just like, man, this game just hits all the right notes, like just like, I don't know, I mean, the previous games kind of had a few pacing issues here and there, like its stealth is a little too simple, while future games kind of lack kind of a bit of a story grip, and also the pacing gets a little bit wacky with, like, the future games. While here it's just, like, it's the perfect, like, balance between the two. Like, here we kind of have those, like, strong, like, long, I mean, very long cutscenes with, like, really good characterization, you know, solid story and all that, just great prequel. But we also like have some really like fun in-depth stealth gameplay. I mean, I do like the stealth gameplay of like Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, though it can be a little bit too simple. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 1, I think maybe we could lean a little bit too much on the simple side. Metal Gear Solid 2 had a lot of nice additions, however, it kind of suffers because the second half of the game really downplays like sneaking around. While here, Snake Eater, like on the way it structures its areas, it gives you a little bit more room to breathe, and there's also more to the stealth this time. So not only do we have like more time to actually use the stealth, we actually have more in-depth stealth this time. So anyways, here we're going to take this guy out with the tranquilizer. So yeah, I will be using the tranquilizer throughout this video, and it is a very overpowered weapon, though there has been some restrictions put on it in Snake Eater. Not strong enough restrictions to like make it ineffective. In fact, it's too effective, but I don't know, I mean, it was kind of an issue in Metal Gear Solid 2 because you can kind of just point and click at enemies and they'll pretty much go down. Though here it may be a bigger or smaller problem. So yeah, pretty much just tranquilize one guard, run up to the other guard, take him out with CQC, and then run up to the other guard, take him out with CQC. Now here, we're going to do a trick where we pretty much knock down a beehive, and the beehive knocks all the enemies into the next area, so you don't even have to sneak past them. You just kind of run with them. So yeah, I'll wait for that guy to kind of run over there. Now I'm going to run over here, and I'm going to wait for this enemy to bump into the other enemies because I'm not 100% sure on this, but I feel like if I did it earlier, the other enemies might see me and that might screw up the pattern, which I'm trying to get here. So yeah. Like, the reason I say that the tranquilizer might be a bigger or smaller problem is because, well, it's a smaller problem because, like, I don't know, in Metal Gear Solid 2, the only thing that limited the tranquilizer was, like, your ammo count, but that was never really a big issue, while here, like, the ammo count restriction is still in place, and, you know, if you get a little bit too trigger happy with it, you can definitely run out of ammo very quickly. But there's the added restriction of, like, you know, the silencer, like, kind of having a durability to it also adds another layer to it, because once you run out of the silencer, then boom, it's over. And also another thing, since I'm trying to get a Foxhound run, I'm playing on European Extreme. And what happens on European Extreme and Snake Eater is that if an enemy sees you, it's immediate game over. So that makes restarts quicker, but also I can never be seen by an enemy, and if like I don't have a silencer on my tranquilizer here, then like the second they hear a loud gunshot, boom, it's over. Though there have been some situations where that wasn't true, but I guess it just kind of depends on how close you are to an enemy. So yeah, use the tranquilizer to take out 3 enemies on that side, And I kind of start with the one on on the bottom right, and then the one on the top, and then the one on the bottom left. Because if I do the bottom right, then the bottom left, and the guy on the top kind of gets a little complicated to shoot because he notices. And then once you do that, rush all the way here. There'll be an enemy on the side of the building. Hopefully you'll do this quick enough that he doesn't see you, and then there'll be an enemy in the building. I take that guy always CQC, and that pretty much finishes the Virtuous Mission section of the game. So yeah, this game is kind of split into two parts, though kind of more as a prelude than any actual big division. I mean, the Virtuous Mission is just kind of, this section, and then the rest of the game is the Snake Eater section. So that's kind of why I labeled it as such in my kind of time code. So yeah, back to the Tranquilizer. The reason it's a bigger problem is because this game has bigger areas. So we moved away from the kind of tight corridors. Well, Metal Gear Solid 1 didn't have tight corridors per se, but now we're in the jungle, and while these are still kind of boxy areas, they are much larger. Enemies are more spaced out, which means you have a lot more room to kind of snipe enemies from a distance with a Tranquilizer. So that's one reason why it's a bigger problem. So it's actually a bit easier to kind of just take enemies out one by one with a Tranquilizer. While in Metal Gear Solid 2, the kind of tight, packed areas, I mean, you didn't have too much room to do it. I mean, you definitely had room, but it was a little harder to, kind of orient yourself. Now, here is mandatory damage. So, I didn't take any damage, but I did. Here we go. We have to heal ourselves because Snake got injured in a cutscene, and this kind of introduces us to some of the survival aspects of this game with the curing. So yeah, not only does this game kind of up the stealth a bit, it's also upping other elements. It's playing less into a infiltration building type thing and more about surviving in the jungle. Ooh, survival. We have to eat Snake Eater, And a part of that is that you're gonna get injured. You're not gonna have a crew to help you out. You're not gonna have you're not always gonna have rations to depend on. So instead of always getting rations, you instead eat to have a stamina bar, which if your stamina bar is full, then your health kind of slowly regenerates, but also you can get fatal injuries, which is kind of why there was a red section on your life bar, and you have to fix those manually in a menu. Now, I do like how this game makes the stuff a little bit more complicated, a little bit more engaging, and also kind of how it adds a lot more to playing around with systems and stuff. To playing around with AI systems and stuff. I mean, you could do a lot of fun stuff in Metal Gear Solid 2 with screwing with AI, but in this game, it's just there's a lot more. Let's just say that. But some of the new additions kind of come at the cost that you're going to have to enter the menu quite a bit, and that can kind of slow the gameplay down, and that's mostly with a camo system. Now, I love the camo system. Oh, before I get to that, well, here I am entering a menu, switching camo, just kind of to get in the mood of things, and also face paint, yeah. I don't know, I've seen some videos where people don't use face paint, and I don't know why. I guess it's to make Snake look cool and not like Shrek over here because I painted him green. But yeah, I really like the camo system because I just love this type of stealth, this really slower paced stealth of Snake Eater. You're just crawling around right next to enemies, but you're completely camouflaged so they don't see you. So you can kind of get the drop on enemies like that, or sometimes you can crouch behind them, hold them up, take them down. Just I don't know, something about that. I mean, the faster pace of the previous games is really fun, but this is it. But yeah, having to go into the menu every time to switch camo for certain areas, it can be a little annoying, especially on first time playthroughs when you're not really sure what you're doing. I don't know, that's something which I've kind of experienced with every single Metal Gear Solid game, is that first time playthroughs tend to be very confusing because Metal Gear Solid games just have a lot of little subtleties to the gameplay which are kind of hard to pick up on if you're not already familiar with them. So yeah, here we're just going to wait these guards out. Now, there are other strategies for how to get past these guards. I don't know. I was watching a video by James Howell where he's just stood naked in front of them, and then that pretty much brought them down here faster, which allowed him to run past them quicker. However, here I'm following a different strategy where I'm just kind of laying down. So yeah, now I will mention that I didn't do this alone. I did watch a lot of walkthroughs from different creators here and there to just kind of get my bearings on how to approach a Foxhound run and a no damage run. Though I don't know, I guess titling these videos no damage run can be a little misleading, though. Most of this video is no damage, just that there's certain sections of this game which are either mandatory damage or damage which I have no idea how you'd avoid it, and I haven't seen any videos on people avoiding it, so I'm just gonna kind of take it and leave it. I mean, I'm just not take it and leave it. I'm gonna take it. Because I do take damage way later in the video, and I think it'll be pretty reasonable why I do take damage. But for the most part, I am doing no damage. All the boss fights no damage. A lot of sections no damage, and even certain sections which you wouldn't think you can no damage, you can actually no damage, which kind of surprised me. So yeah, once you get past those like 2 guards, you run over here to like this kind of tree section. Wait here for like these 3 guards to pass by. Now, I don't know, James Howell's strategy is really useful because he got past this area so fast that he pretty much entered the next area before the caution state happened. However, I am entering with the caution state on, so it's going to slow me down in this area right here because I can't exactly jump at these guards over here. At least I don't have a good strategy on how to jump these guards immediately because the caution state kind of makes things a little unpredictable, so I'm just going to wait out the caution state. Oh yeah, so anyways, the important YouTubers are, well, Jaguar King. I don't know if you've seen my previous Metal Gear Solid videos. I mentioned this guy a lot because he no damages all the boss fights in the Metal Gear Solid games. So I've just been watching his videos for kind of get tips on certain hard boss fights. And same as here. Though also a common occurrence with Jaguar King's videos is that some of the strategies are so like I don't know, complex and hard to do that I just have trouble even doing them, and I sometimes just straight up don't do them. So his videos can be very helpful, but sometimes they can be like immensely like frustrating to copy in a sense. It's like some of these things just require real skill, and like Jaguar King's got plenty of it. I have skill. Yeah, I'm good at games. Second YouTuber is SourceSpy91, who did an entire Foxhound playthrough, which I was kind of following here and there, and it was very helpful to kind of come up with strategies on like an area to area basis. So yeah, shout out to that guy. And for the third person, George Salonink. Wait, hold up, I gotta pronounce this right. George Saloniki. Now, if you've looked up any like Metal Gear type video, like I don't know, the cardboard box throughout the years, so and so, you're bound to find this guy's video. George Saloniki / Metal Gear Solid. Like this dude is an absolute legend, like just doing stuff like, I mean, first off, just making a bunch of guides on the Metal Gear Solid games, like, you know, how to defeat the Metal Gear Solid 2 boss fights easier, how to defeat the Metal Gear Solid 3 boss fights easier, 4, you know, etc, etc. But also having a bunch of other really extensive videos, like capturing every single like animal and like Snake Eater, just a ton of really helpful guide type videos, and also just a lot of little detail type stuff, which is just really fun for fans of Metal Gear. It's just a great channel for like Metal Gear fans. So yeah, I watched his videos on how to defeat the Metal Gear Solid 3 boss fights easier, which was really helpful when like Jaguar King's no damages got too complicated for me. And also his video is like I'd say the main reason that I was able to learn how to counter the final boss, because the final boss has this one like gimmick with like CQC that was kind of hard to come to grips with. So anyways, this area, I wait for the caution state, and then I wait for like the 2 enemies like, you know, below me to kind of be in a position where I can just kind of run down and CQC both of them. But I start with the left guy, then I go with the right guy, but they have to be facing away from me when I drop down into the area. Also, another thing you should know about this game is that unless you have a specific camo, your footsteps are going to be loud. So if you're running at someone, they're going to hear you if you're like a foot away from them, so, or like 2 foot away from them, I don't know. Just some type of measurement like that. So you can't exactly sneak up on enemies while running at them. Anyway, this area is completely barren of enemy activity, so just kind of, you pretty much just have to run to like where Sokolov was being held, like the previous mission, the Virtuous Mission, and then exit that room, and then they'll activate like the next story progression. But yeah, here I'm going to pick up an AK-47 and also a few items in the locker, and that'll be pretty helpful for future stuff. But yeah, as I was saying, there's a lot of weird subtleties with like Metal Gear Solid's gameplay, or at least weird like design or behaviors which you have to kind of be aware of. So I mentioned that you can't exactly run at enemies to sneak at them, but you can still like run at it. I picked up the box there, so I won't exactly be using the box in the same way I used it in my Twin Snakes and Metal Gear Solid 2 video, just because, well, to be fair, I don't think, okay, there's this trick you can do with the box, which I'm pretty sure you can still do in this game, is that you get in the box, an enemy approaches you, and when they lift the box, you can like unequip the box, and then like the enemy won't see you, and you can just hold them up, because they're still in the process of like picking up the box. So that's like a cool way to get the jump on an enemy that's kind of, you know, hard to approach. But in this game, like, you know, you have the tranquilizer, the areas are really open, you have camo, so you have so many different other ways to approach this game that you don't really need to use the box trick, which I used previously. But oh yeah, so here we're going to start the Ocelot Unit like boss encounter. I mean, like, it's 10 guys. I'm not sure if I can call it a boss, but, you know, whatever. So here I'm going to use 2 stun grenades. However, I'm going to mess up this strategy. So, like, the strategy which I'm supposed to do here is that I would use 2 stun grenades to take out 4 guys, which would leave 6 enemies in the area. However, what ended up happening... Wait. Yeah, it's 6 enemies in an area, I'm pretty sure. I forgot exactly which YouTuber I took this strategy from. It's probably just sourced by so-and-so. But, like, I end up, like, not taking out one of the guys because I guess I angled my stun grenade wrong. So instead, I'm left with 7 enemies. And, yep, 7. Yeah, there we go, 7 enemies. And, like, what this means is that, like, this fight is going to get insanely dragged out near the end. Just because I'm trying to, like, correct my mistake, but I have zero idea how to, and when I figure it out, like 2 to 3 minutes have passed. Though I'm keeping this attempt just because I think the ending is really funny. But yeah, 2 stun grenades, but angle like the second one more to the right, and you should be able to take out the 4 guys, and I'll pretty much like fix any complications later on. So anyways, here's gonna be one guy here, pretty much take him out with a tranquilizer right here, take him out with a tranquilizer right here. So yeah, there's going to be 2 guys around the corner, but there's going to be 1 guy who's there. But, you know, as the fight goes along, he starts moving more there. So yeah, stay camouflage, crawl, take that guy out. Boom. And also another thing, once these guys are taken out, they cannot be woken up. So yeah, that's a very good advantage. Try to get headshots, because I don't know, one thing which can happen, well, to be fair, I don't think it matters much in this fight. But, oh yeah, so 2 guys there, but there's 1 guy overlooking over there. And he can switch positions. Sometimes he won't be sniping from there. He'll be sniping from the right, so you kind of have to angle yourself to kind of see him without him seeing you. It's a little random, that guy up on the roof, but I don't know. So anyways, run up to these barrels. There's going to be an enemy way across there. Use the peeking, the leaning feature in this game. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 kind of have this weird, like, control system where you can kind of peek around corners, you know, left, right, and then if you hold up, you use like the triggers while looking in first person mode to kind of peek around, so you know left, right, and you know you can hold both of them at the same time to look over, so you can kind of stay in cover, look over, and then kind of take someone out there. It gets a little bit of getting used to, but once you're used to it, I don't know, I think it's pretty smooth. Like, you know, not smooth for like firefights or whatever, but this is a stealth game, not exactly a firefight game. And any, like, you know, combat encounters in this game usually are like designed in such a way where you don't need to exactly be aiming around in first person, like, and moving at the same time. And when the game is a little bit more like intense with it, there's still accommodations. Like, I can't really think of a combat encounter in this game where I'm frustrated that I have to control it like this. Like, I mean, to be fair, I'm also very used to this game. Like, oh yeah, so once you take that guy out with the barrels, there's going to be an enemy over there. There's going to be like 2 of them. I don't know, one who's a little bit more out in the open here, which you can kind of take out with tranquilizers. I think I shot him, but I'm just going to wait for him to go to... Yeah, I think that's what happened. And now I don't know what I'm waiting for. So yeah, there's going to be 1 guy like kind of more hanging around like the end corner, like the left side of the map. So we're just going to crawl our way all the way over there. So yeah, so another thing about this game. So it fixed a few little glitchy movement things from the previous one. So when crawling, like in Metal Gear Solid 2, you can equip and unequip the weapon to crawl faster. That is gone in this game. You cannot do that anymore. Even if you equip and unequip the weapon, you're going to crawl at the same exact speed. So yeah, they knew what they were doing. And this game involves a lot more crawling than Metal Gear Solid 2. So it's a pretty important thing to like fix. So yeah, if you did the strategy correctly, the one where you take out the 4 enemies at the beginning, this would be done. You would have no damage to this encounter. However, I messed up, so now I'm trying to figure out where is this guy, and I'm being sneaky just because, like, I can't run around, because, you know, once they sees me, it's over and I have to redo it all over again, and I don't want to do that. However, I'm going to spend a little too much time trying to figure out where these guys are. So, like, he hangs around in the building. I just caught a glimpse of him, and he just kind of moves around like that kind of building area. And the building area is kind of bad because you have very crappy camo in the building area. You kind of have these blocky structures to take cover from, but like even if you like camouflage yourself the best in this kind of more reddish orange area, you're still going to be like, what, 50% when crawling, 60, like just horrible stuff. And that's not even talking about when standing up. So if you're standing up and your camo's at 45%, that's amazing. Though, to be fair, you'll get a very specific camo later on, which will make this useless. Not make this useless, because like the other camo takes away your stamina. I'll get to it when I get to it. But yeah, so here I'm just moving very slowly, because if I actually run, I'll have a lower camo index. But if we crawl like this, you'll have 45. So yeah, that's another thing. So on PS3, I am playing the PS3 HD collection for this video, though that's not exactly the first version of this game I played. But even on other HD collections aside from the Vita, I'll get to the Vita later, you pretty much press the D-pad to move very slowly like this. So you don't use the thumbstick. You don't like slowly move the thumbstick. I mean, you can slowly move the thumbstick to move slow, but you can't go as slow as this. So like to go at your slowest speed possible, or enemies will not hear you at all, the D-pad's what you gotta use. So yeah, here I'm just kind of surveying the area, trying to get the drop on this guy. And yeah, but let me get back to something I was trying to talk about before. So when running at enemies, like they'll turn around and go, huh? And there'll be a green like exclamation point over their heads. You have to knock them out before they have the red exclamation point. They kind of take like 2 or 3 seconds before they go red, so you have a brief moment to just kind of run up and take them out, you know, if you just want to run up at them and you don't want to sneak up behind them all slow like. So like that's a pretty easy thing to do with this game's new CQC system, because like the previous games didn't really have a system like this where you could just run up to a guy and knock him to the ground to instantly stun him. The previous games just kind of, you could either choke him out, but that's a little cumbersome because you had to kind of stand still while doing it. Like, you know, you run up to the enemy, then you stand still and you press the button. When enemies are moving, that can get a little complicated. However, when moving, you can kind of throw enemies, but then enemies will just get back up. So unless you were able to like perfectly combo them immediately when they got up, then it's not going to work, and you can't do that perfectly all the time. So anyways, here I'm going to get the drop on the enemy soon enough, but not there. So yeah, this new CQC system makes engaging with enemies a lot easier. You don't exactly have to avoid them or like trank them or hold them up. You could just kind of run up at them and then boom, knock them out. Now here, I got so lucky that I just stumbled across his pattern at the exact right time that I could just drop on him and just end him like that. So that's why I kept this attempt. I just really like that all that time wasted just led to that. So yeah, now that we're done with this, we're going to spend the rest of this section meeting up with... No, pretty much just the road to Ocelot. So pretty much just a lot of encounters before we face Major Ocelot, because he is a major in this game. And to be fair, I don't think they call him Revolver Ocelot in this game, though he is Revolver Ocelot in future entries, because like he doesn't really start off with an affinity for revolvers at first. He only picks it up after he gets his ass handed to him, and next thing he's like, hey, yo, I think you really use more of a revolver. I don't know. I don't think I can really do the best Snake impression, though. Maybe with old Snake, because he's more grumbly, I can maybe do something. I think I'll save that for whenever I do Metal Gear Solid 4. So yeah, now this area is completely safe, and the next area is going to be a little bit more of a calm before the storm. And that's another thing with this game does, just like the pacing, it's just so good. Like, I mean, you start off, you kind of have this escalation, you know, like the first Virtuous Mission, like it's kind of a low scale escalation. You start off safe area, then, you know, a few enemies, then you have the part with the beehive, you know, a couple more enemies, a little tighter space, a little more challenging. Anyways, here I'm going to go back because the story with this one, it's a little complicated. So, like, okay, so I had an attempt where I didn't go back to this area. I just kind of went on normally. However, I reached the pain fight, and every single no damage I saw of the pain fight required smoke grenades. However, when I got to that part, I didn't have any smoke grenades. So I had to redo pretty much this all the way to, like, Ocelot and the caves over again. It was insanely annoying just because Ocelot's pretty challenging. So I swear I spent like 4 or 5 hours just on Ocelot, and the pain's even worse. I mean, I don't think it's no. I'm just gonna say, like, the pain is probably the worst boss fight in this game. I just hate it so much, and I'll talk about it more when I get to him. But it's just like I had to redo this whole section just so I can pick up the smoke grenades right there, so that I can have like more of a sure chance of like no damaging him. And it's like, I just hate that fight so much. And also hate that I had to repeat Revolver Ocelot all over again. Though, thankfully, since I had to repeat it, I did do a better attempt this time at Ocelot. A little quicker, though maybe missing some of the style of my first attempt. But I do think this one has a bit of style of its own. So I'm happy with it. So yeah, I kind of want to get back to what I was talking about before I kind of got frustrated with the fact that this is like a redo of a section, which I didn't want to redo the whole thing for just to pick up some measly smoke grenades. So I kind of want to get back to talking about like the pacing and also just more subtleties or just kind of weirdness of the way Metal Gear Solid handles its like I don't know, just mechanics in general. Anyways, here I'm gonna kill some poison frogs, the kind of little red and blue guys, because they will be very useful for a future boss fight. Though to be fair, I could have done that boss fight without them, but I kind of just did it because I like what these frogs do to that boss fight. But anyways, back to the CQC thing. I think what's weird about it, oh yeah, when you step into this water, here, if you hear any type of noise like that, you're gonna want to go into your cure menu and just burn that leech off, because it is a leech and it will drain your stamina super fast. There, it happened again, so go into the cure menu, just kind of take it off. I'm not exactly sure what alerts these leeches. I think it's just when you try to swim underwater, that's probably when they get connected to you. So like every time you do that, boom, that's gonna happen. So yeah, you're gonna want to swim around this left side, go through this log, and you're gonna want to pick up the croc cap, because that is like ominously like pretty much like needed for a certain area in this game. If you miss it, then like I'm sorry for you, but a certain area is gonna get a little more complicated. So yeah, I'm gonna take a path which takes me to the croc cap, so just kind of follow that. So I think what's so weird about like Metal Gear Solid, like some of the mechanics, that it's just kind of vague with how certain things work, and that's probably because the games came with like super long and like lengthy manuals which kind of taught you about certain techniques, and also the games in general just kind of have like skill menus and like kind of in the game which teach you about certain techniques, so you kind of have to go into those and see everything that you can do, because it's a little bit much to take in as a first time player. Like I wouldn't say the games are necessarily like that complicated, especially like in other aspects. Like I don't know, the areas are a little bit small compared to other like stealth games. Like I don't know, I mean the stealth encounters like usually only really happen around like with 4, maybe at most maybe 7 or 8 guys in one area, and the areas aren't too big. Like compare that to like Splinter Cell, like Chaos Theory, which is like all one huge loaded in area. I mean not huge, but like it's like one big area, while here it's just like smaller chunks which like make up one big adventure. So like on a chunk by chunk basis, it's not as complicated as something like Splinter Cell, but here's where like the complications come in. I don't know, when compared to like modern stealth games, like a lot of stuff in Metal Gear Solid isn't that automated, and while future entries would automate more of like its takedowns, like I don't know, it would have prompts for when you can take a guy out or not, which is helpful. Here it just kind of, you gotta know that you can run up at a guy, and if you hold down like the punch button, you can take him out. Because if you didn't know that, and that's another thing, you have to hold down the punch button and also move at the same time to knock them down to the ground, which is probably like the closest thing Metal Gear Solid like at this point has to an automated takedown of like I don't know, other games. Like take Splinter Cell Conviction, press a button, you kill the guy, boom. While here, you have to hold down a button and also like move at the same time to kind of take the guy out, because there's also other variations you can do. If you hold down the button, then in this area, just kind of crawl through that little fence thing and then run up to like the one point and then crawl to get the claymore, because there are claymores in this area. And then once you reach this point, crawl, because there's like 2 dogs over there and also 1 enemy soldier which will be appearing from the right, so you have to watch out for those guys. But yeah, like there's just a lot of complications with CQC, and some of these complications become even more complicated if you're playing it on PS2 or PS3, because my first exposure to Snake Eater is actually on the Xbox, which makes some of these control gimmicks a little easier to manage, because Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, but I'm going to be talking mostly about 3, take advantage of pressure-sensitive buttons. Like, I don't know, you can slightly hold the square. So anyways, crawl through that little hole there. And I recommend taking out the 2 dogs before crawling over here. But, like, whatever. I can kind of take them out now that I'm here. There's going to be an enemy coming from the right. And I'm actually a little unsure if I'm going to take him out or not. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to take him out. Like, I don't know, once you take out the 2 dogs, this enemy will kind of come running up over here. So, yeah, just be sure to give him a few tranks there. And, yeah. Okay, so I was talking about... So, yeah. I don't know. The first Metal Gear Solid games I played were Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. I picked them up when I was young because I went to a Best Buy and I picked 11 games and I just started eliminating them each one by one. And then I kind of got to a point where I'm like, I'm either going to buy Borderlands 2 or the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. So I asked a random employee, hey, which one should I buy? And he said, dude, Metal Gear Solid is rad. Go buy that. So I bought that, and then I played the games and I was immensely confused. So I was just kind of in an Xbox Live chat with one of my friends who was a huge fan of the series and just trying to work my way through through the games because I kind of gave up on trying to play Metal Gear Solid 2, so I just started with 3, and I was still super confused. I spent like so many play sessions having zero idea like what to do or how to play. So anyways, here the strategy there is there's gonna be a guard there, so I kind of wait for him to kind of move up more over there, and then I jump through that hole in the fence. But make sure that guard is like has a lot of distance away from you, because if you're too close to him, he's gonna hear the sound of you rolling into this next area. Now at this point, there's gonna be a hole in the fence you can kind of crawl through, so you just kind of crawl through there. So yeah, so I'm just kind of working my way to like how the bloody hell does a game work. But on Xbox, it's not even as complicated as it is on PS3, because on Xbox, so you can do quite a few things with CQC. You can throw enemies down by running at them and holding the punch button and also moving at the same time. Or you can hold the punch button while standing still, and you'll like kind of get them in a little grip, kind of like the type of grip you could have in the previous games. And then from there, you can interrogate enemies, you can kill enemies, or you could, do the choking thing to either knock them out or kill them. I actually don't know if you can kill them by choking them out in this game in particular. Like in previous games, you could snap people's necks, though I think they maybe got rid of that in this game now that you can just slit their throats. Or another thing you can do while you have them kind of choked out is knock them down to the ground. And what you can do there is you can hold them up, which pretty much has the same effect as them being knocked out, except that they're not knocked out. They'll stay like that for longer. So that's not a technique I utilize much in this video, but honestly, I should have utilized it more, because I don't know, if you knock an enemy out, he'll have stars over his head, but he'll wake up pretty quickly. Now, if he's tranquilized, he won't wake up as fast, but if you have an enemy, if you hold up an enemy while they're on the ground, they'll just stay on the ground and they can't do anything, and they won't get up unless you get caught and unless you get caught in a caution state happens, I believe. So it's a really powerful tool if you're trying to keep an enemy disabled for as long as you want. So anyways, here in this area, this is where Metal Gear Solid 3's design really starts to shine, and some of its more optional objectives, because I could just run past those guards because I don't want any of the items in there, or you could enter those little buildings in the middle, and it becomes a whole complicated thing. I'll get to it later. So anyways, here, Ocelot boss fight. Start off with non-tranquilizer, shoot them, and then they get a stun grenade out there. I should have had more stun grenades for this encounter, whatever. Then boom, after the stun grenade, pull out the actual gun, not the tranquilizer gun, kill the animal over there, and then get another tranquilizer shot on Ocelot, go to hide, and then once he notices the animal and is distracted by you killing him, shoot him. However, I shot his hat. However, when they shoot his hat, I had a brief moment where I could shoot him, so I did. And now I just kind of wait for a chance to kind of shoot him again. This fight is very fast paced, and we're trying to screw him before he shoots his 13th shot. We only want him to shoot 12 shots. So yeah, once he shoots his first 6 clips, he's gonna stand still. You can kind of shoot him when he does that. However, I kind of screwed it up. Thankfully, since I knocked his hat off, that gives me another chance to get a shot on him, and it worked. And now here, you don't really want to go into first person when Ocelot's doing his thing here. Just kind of try to get shots from third person here. Maybe use the lock-on system, though, to be honest, I don't fully understand it either. And yeah, now that he's going to his reload animation, you can shoot him there. And you have two, and something which happens with Ocelot is that at the beginning of the fight, if you get a shot on him, I don't know, a couple too many shots, his unit will come in and go Major, forgive me, and they'll start shooting you. However, if you stay in this area, the bullets won't hit you. So the same thing will also happen when Ocelot is on his last bar of non-lethal health. Anyways, a draw, boom, dead, over. So pretty much, if you pretty much are as frantic and fast as dealing non-lethal damage to Ocelot as I was, you can kind of do this thing where once he starts to reload, you can get a shot on him, but then his crew will back him up, and then that gives you a second shot to take him out, and then he'll have such little health that you can kind of wait. You can kind of do this thing where you kind of stand there at that point with your gun drawn, and he'll enter this duel thing, and that pretty much just gives you a free shot to just kind of shoot at him, and boom, it's over. Though you can miss that shot, and that's how the Ocelot fight works, and it's very stressful, it's very fast. Anyways, here you're gonna want to activate the game's original camera. So I'm playing the HD collection, which is kind of a port of the subsistence version of the game, but the subsistence version of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is an enhancement of the original Snake Eater, because the original Snake Eater did not have a controllable 3D camera. It just had the fixed camera angles of the previous games, and the fixed camera angles of the previous games worked well enough for the previous games, but for Snake Eater, it's a little awkward with the way guards can see you easier, and also with how you don't really have much cover to work with. You have to use the camo system, and just this game really needed a 3D camera, so that improvement in the subsistence version was much appreciated. So yeah, but however, the original camera does have uses, because you can better orient yourself in dark ass places. And the dark ass place I'm talking about is specifically this cave. So the way you get past this cave is to use the cigar to kind of get past it. However, if I use the cigar, I take damage, and I do not want that. So instead, I'm just kind of fumbling through the area with a fixed camera angle, so like my position is always determined, and just following this one route and like double checking every single time by opening up the map and saying I'm in the right area. So anyways, when you're crawling up this like little hole here, there's gonna be a snake here. I'm gonna kill it because that snake can bite you and deal damage to you, and I do not want that. So yeah, it's just like there's a lot of fumbling around. You're in the dark, and I do not want to use the cigar. And you can find night vision goggles in this area. However, I'm just not gonna deal with it. I'm instead just gonna follow the predetermined path to kind of get through this and just kind of go through that. So yeah, I had to get back something. So I mean, I mentioned how to do CQC with the Xbox controller. What I did not mention is how to do CQC with the PS3 controller, because, okay, so the way you can slit someone's throat on Xbox is you click, like, the left stick. However, since the PS3 was using, like, pressure-sensitive buttons, the way you would do it is you would, like, hold someone, and then you would fully press down on the punch button, and that would slit their throat. However, here's the thing. If you're trying to go for a non-lethal run and you want to interrogate people, this is hell. Because, like, you would have to, like, you know, the way you would, like, hold enemies is by kind of half pressing, like, the punch button. However, like, the subtle differences between a half press and a full press and not pressing the button at all are very slim. So you have to, like, adopt a very specific muscle memory so you can actually hold up guards, like, you know, and interrogate them without slitting their throats by accidentally fully pressing the punch button. Thankfully, if you already know like what to do in the game, you don't really need to interrogate enemies. And to be fair, they don't really give information that's like that useful. They give a lot of really like awesome Easter egg type information, like the healing radio frequencies. Now, I don't think I've used the healing radio frequency yet. Oh yeah, once you enter the second area of the cave, go to like the right side because you have to pick up the shotgun, and the shotgun is honestly I'd say mandatory for like a pain no damage. But yeah, as I was saying, so yeah, like the pressure sensitive stuff on PS3 just makes it super complicated. I think the control setup of like the Xbox 360 port is better, but like thankfully thankfully for me, since I don't own like the Xbox 360 version of Snake Eater anymore, I don't really have to interrogate guards. And like the only time I want to hold guards into like a chokehold is to like kind of push them to the ground. So I'm never in a position where I'm gonna accidentally slit someone's throat. So thankfully, like that's just an advantage for me. So yeah, that's like one complication of CQC, and also the game doesn't really tell you any of this. You kind of have to read the manuals, and like the HD collection come with like digital manuals you can read, so it's not like you're missing those. And also there's online videos which can teach you stuff, but it's just like that's the thing, you have to like do all this like extra work and like to figure out how these games function. While other games you have like automated kills, you know, you can kind of just stay out of their line of sight. While here you have like camo indexes, you know, like how do you even spot enemies? Spotting enemies is harder in this game because you don't have a radar. The enemies kind of camouflage themselves into the environment. So anyways, here's the pain fight. Like there's a strategy, and it's to throw a smoke grenade immediately at him, and I screw it up immediately. So I have to come up with this other drawn out strategy. What's so painful about the pain is that like, okay, so I don't know, every other fight in this game, like if you fight them normally, it can be pretty challenging, but there's usually some like clever little secret way to beat them, or like, you know, some clever like secret weakness of them, which kind of puts you on a more even playing field. But this guy barely has anything to him, which could be considered like a secret way to approach him. You just kind of have to deal with all this fucking bullshit like head on, and it's so annoying when it's like this tedious ass. You kind of shoot him from a platform way ahead out here, and then when he covers himself with the bees, you pull out a grenade and he shoots out the bees sometimes. But if you miss the grenade, it's not gonna do, and if he dodges the grenade, it's not gonna do anything. So now you have to pull out the shotgun, and when he ever pulls out and he has the grenade, you have to shoot the grenade down. And it's just like it's so much to like manage. You deal such little like damage to him if you're not getting headshots, and it's just like it drags so much. So pretty much like the only no damage video I've seen of someone no damaging the pain is from Jaguar King, and his strategy is so insane. Like pulls out a smoke grenade, it hits him perfectly, so that like he does the smoke grenade because like the thing is this guy has an attack where he shoots like these vials of like bee piss or something, and pretty much when he shoots the bee piss at you, like his bees will come and attack you. So, and I don't want any damage dealt to me, so I pretty much have to avoid that. So pretty much like when he throws a smoke grenade, the bees get a little disorientated, and the pain himself also gets a little disorientated. even if you're covered in piss and stuff, so the bees won't come and attack you immediately. So during that time, he gets perfect headshots on the pain over and over, and that's another thing. So another thing in this game is that there's this thing in the Metal Gear Solid games called the tactical reload, where you like equip and unequip a weapon to just reload it instantly instead of going through the reload animations. So that's how I'm gonna. So you see that's a tactical reload right there in Metal Gear Solid 3. So pretty much what Jaguar King did was he did a tactical reload with the tranquilizer gun to get perfect headshots over and over and over again. But you can't just do that like perfectly. You have to like kind of time it, because there's like a slight little thing like the pain does, where you kind of like recoils every time you deal like a headshot. So sometimes you'll miss it if you're too fast with like your tactical reloading. And also getting perfect headshots every single time when this guy kind of bobs his head back and forth like, ah! So he just does that. And then when like he covers himself in bees, he throws a grenade perfectly to pretty much like blow up his whole bee cover. And like, you know, that's a whole other complication. And then that activates his second phase. And then in the second phase, he throws a grenade. He throws a smoke grenade perfectly. And then like he's like in a position where the bullet bees will never attack him. Oh no, he's like in the first area of this fight. He never moved from that rock. So, like, if you stay at that rock, like, the first bullet bee attack is very likely not to hit you. So, it's just kind of like... And then he gets perfect headshots, and he ends the fight that way. It's just like... it's such a complicated, like, stressful, like, just so, like, minute detail, like, fast-paced strategies. Like... And you have to aim perfectly. You have to make sure every grenade hits, and it's just like... So if you don't want to do that, I haven't seen any single other video on how to deal with this fight, so I kind of had to just wing it most of the time. It's like, so, I don't know, if you don't want to do that insane speedrun strategy, the way you approach this fight is a lot slower, a lot more boring, and just a lot more stressful. It's just like, so, I don't know, I don't really know how to talk about this guy, because he just annoys me so much, but... Oh yeah, if you noticed, I pulled out my radio and contacted a healing frequency, because one thing about the Foxhound run is that you can only eat 20 meals. And meals is how you replenish your stamina, but another way you replenish your stamina is by calling these healing radio frequencies, and those do not count as meals, so that's pretty cool. So anyways, you see those bees there? Do you see those bees there? Do you see those bees there? When the pain loses sight of you, he sends out bees to kind of search for you, but those bees you just saw there, they won't attack you. So just, I don't know, I thought they would attack me, so I jumped back into the water, but they wouldn't. So pretty much the way you get rid of this dude's bee armor is with smoke grenades, with normal grenades, and just by shooting 4 shotgun shells at him. So, but you don't want to like shoot the shotgun shells at him slowly, so you do the tactical reload to kind of be quick with it. But then he gets his bee armor like back so fast, so you have to take like complete advantage of everything. And also when he does this grenade thing, it's kind of useful to kind of stay in the water, and then when it drops in the water, climb up onto the platform. And that's kind of one cool way to avoid grenade damage. However, here, okay, one nasty thing this guy can do is sometimes he'll throw a grenade while you're swimming, and then he'll pull out the Tommy gun, so you'll still be waiting for that grenade to go away. But like if you stand still in one place for too long, and he has a Tommy gun, and the grenade is still coming your way, it could drop into your location like a little too fast before you can swim away from it, and you can't swim away like too far away from the rock because he pulled out a Tommy gun. It's like, some combination of this guy's attacks can screw you over immensely. It's like, But yeah, the way you avoid the bee piss, if you don't do the whole like speedrun strategy, just swim to the other platform. And then like the other attacks he does, grenade, either shoot it before it reaches your location, or just jump off the platform if it lands on your platform, or stay in the water, wait for it to drop into your platform, and then climb the platform. When he goes into the Tommy gun, just hide behind the rock. There's not really much you can do against him. And don't try to peek over the rock to shoot tranquilizer bullets at him. I have gotten damaged that way. So yeah, don't do that. And then for these other things, like, yeah, 4 shotgun shells to kind of free up his body armor there. And sometimes this guy has invincibility at weird points. Like if he does that whole attack where like he sends bees to kind of like stun you for a little bit, the whole where he does like a little flip and he goes, "Go get him!" I forget exactly when he does it. He did it in this fight. But when he does that, he's completely invincible even though he doesn't have bee armor. And also, when the bees are like kind of surrounding you and you're kind of stuck and you can't move, just shake the left stick a lot and you'll shake them off. That's pretty much a way to deal with it. And then you'll kind of have a very brief moment to kind of attack him when he doesn't have bee armor. And then there's the attack that gets introduced in the second phase, which I thought would be a lot worse, but thankfully swimming all the way to the bottom of this area tends to pretty much avoid them every single time. So, like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, if you do the speedrun strategy, you can just kind of stand still and they won't hit you. However, I can't rely on the speedrun strategy because, like, so instead, I have a more normal way to avoid the bullet bees, and that's just to swim to the very bottom of this little area here. And that is the pain fight. So you just have to deal with all this bullshit. There's no little clever trick you can do with the death pill. There's no clever... I mean, okay, there is actually one clever trick, but it requires you to get hornet nests before this fight. And you can get hornet nests during the Ocelot fight. However, the Ocelot fight is already so fast-paced and complicated to deal with that, like, to pretty much like route or like get hornet's nest while also not taking damage and also still being fast with the Ocelot fight, it's just like near impossible. So yeah, when this attack happens, shake the left stick a lot and that'll shake them off. Though sometimes when you break free of those beads, you'll still have bee armor. Are you kidding me? Ugh. But yeah, if you get hornet's nest, you can kind of just throw the hornet's nest somewhere and the bees will like go to that area instead of attacking you. Though the one time I've seen someone do that, they still got attacked by bees, so they didn't do a no damage. I believe that was James Howell who talked to me about that strategy. So yeah, like I guess you could collect some of those and that'll be useful. In fact, I do collect certain like certain food items later on to a similar effect in another boss fight. But like here, I did not get them because it would have been too complicated, and now here we are. Hate this fight. Easily the worst fight in the game. It's like Ocelot's better, the Fear is better, the End's absolutely better, the Fury's absolutely better. All the Volgin's fights are better. I mean, the SHAGOHOG fight is like really simple and honestly pretty lame compared to the other Metal Gear fights, but better than Pain. Hate this fight so much. Like it is just honestly, I go as far as to say this is the worst section of the game. Easily the worst section of the game, and what is for the most part a pretty perfectly paced game. Like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I guess that kind of segues into me talking about pacing. So anyways, here I waste a lot of time because I didn't know I had to just run all the way to like the entrance to kind of get on the cliff, which gets me the hornet aren't the like the wasp. What is this camo called? But like whatever, the Pain's camo. So if you defeat the boss fights non-lethally, you get their camo. Also another thing. So in order to get the Foxhound rank, you have to get 0 kills, so you can never kill anyone. However, there's certain boss fights which you can kill, but it doesn't count as a kill, like Ocelot, because even if you do like deplete his life bar instead of his stamina bar, he's still gonna be alive because he's an important character that shows up later on. However, you're not gonna get his camo, the animals, which I'm wearing right now. Now, one good thing about the animals camo is that even if you're starving, your aim like never staggers, and that's very important. Because, well, I mean, your aiming is, well, quite important. If you have low stamina and you don't want to use a food item, you can kind of equip this animal's camo, and then boom, your aiming isn't going to stagger. Also, another thing, if you're going to engage a boss fight with a tranquilizer, remove the silencer. You can do that by like pretty much opening it in the item and then pressing the X button or the A button on Xbox. Oh, also, I mentioned that the whole complication with like CQC with like the pressure sensitive buttons on PS3, I should probably mention how it controlled on the Vita. Now, these games on Vita, you're definitely nerfed. Mostly with the leaning feature, because the way you lean on Vita is by like using like the back touch screen, and it's just not as natural using the triggers. So you're like, there's also a lot of different tricks you can do on like console which just are not possible on Vita, like the whole tactical reload thing, like one after the other, like that is, it's not gonna work on Vita. So all those speedrun strategies you see on like all those videos, that's not gonna work on Vita unless you have some unless you like configure or distort your hand to like handle that. And it's like so yeah, you're not gonna be as skillful on Vita. But one thing is that the Vita does not have pressure sensitive buttons, so the way you would slit someone's throat while having them in a chokehold on Vita is by using the back touch screen. However, I never want to slit anyone's throat, so I never did it. And yeah, So I'd actually say that the Vita's way of handling like the whole CQC thing is better than the PS3's. And the thing is, I mean, better, worse. I mean, pressure sensitive buttons is a neat idea, and I do like it to kind of hold up weapons and put down weapons, but I don't really like it with the whole, you know, slitting someone's throat, because most of the time you'll like grab an enemy and then you'll slit their throat and be like, wait, why did that happen? I didn't want to do that. It's because you accidentally fully pressed the punch button. So it's like, and I guess that's just one complication with porting these games to PS4, is that they would have to adopt a control scheme which accounts for those, like the PS4 controllers not having pressure sensitive buttons. But the Xbox already did that, so like their work is already cut out for them. So, you know, whatever, man. Whatever. Sometimes here, watch out, there are claymores in the area right there. I picked up some thermal goggles beforehand, so I can see them there. But yeah, when you're kind of walking through this kind of calm before the storm area, there are claymores, so yeah, watch out. And yeah, I wanted to mention it, but now I want to get back to the pacing of this game. Like, you start off with like the Virtuous Mission setting, and you know, you kind of start off safe area, and then a few enemies, then more enemies, and then kind of, you know, a lot of enemies. You know, if it's the first time playing this game. Oh yeah, anyways, here I'm going to pick up some Russian glow caps, which will be very useful for a certain boss fight. However, there is zero reason to pick them up right here, because there comes a certain point in the game where it gets rid of every single food item, and the boss fight, which I need those like glow caps for, is after that point. So pretty much it's absolutely pointless to get them here, but I'm still wasting time getting them here. So back to the basics. So yeah, I mean, for the beginning of the game, like that final area in the Virtuous Mission is kind of, you know, the big climax of like, you know, the stealth challenges, you know, kind of that build up, and then boom, we start back to like Snake Eater, then the beginning of the Snake Eater mission, and it's like, you know, kind of calm, but then boom, we have something a little bit more exciting than the previous scenario, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? We're in the same area, but things are a little more complicated now. What, caution state? And then you're going through the same areas, but now it's like something a little more is happening. Enemies here, I'm listening to more healing radio frequencies, and something which I noticed when listening to like healing radio frequencies is that the music there is the type of music which Super Bunny Hop would use when talking about Metal Gear Solid, and it also just seems like video essay music. It just fits really well, especially when talking about Metal Gear. Hell, why not use Metal Gear music for Metal Gear? But it's just like, yeah, these bangers. If you have not been listening to like the healing radio frequencies, you've been missing out. So yeah, here I used it to fill up my stamina, because you need a lot of stamina to swim underwater for a lot of time, and this is where you use the croc cap. So back to the pacing. So yeah, like when you return in the Snake area, it's like, whoa, this big challenge, and then, you know, after that whole like caution state, we kind of have a little bit of a relaxation when, like, you know, going back to like where Sokolov was, and then boom, the Ocelot Unit boss fight. Whoa, 10 enemies. Whoa, it's like, oh, it's build, and then after that, calm, you know, swim around in the lake a little bit, and then slowly accumulate through the stealth challenges again. Okay, here's some enemies here and there, and then, you know, here's a couple more enemies here, and no, like here's a couple enemies here in this one area, and then you get to like the one massive area with like, oh, here's a bunch of supplies, here's a bunch of stuff going on, and, you know, you can kind of skip it, and this is kind of where the slower pace and more optional stuff kind of comes into play. Anyways, here I'm gonna take out this guard over there, and pretty much there's like, what, 3 guards in this area, so I'm gonna take that one guy out there, and then I'm gonna take another guy when he climbs through the stairs there. I'm gonna wait for the end to disappear. You could actually kill him right here and then, but I don't want to do that to the end, because I do quite like the end boss fight. So yeah, I'll take that one guy out there, and then I'm going to swim over there to take out the third guy, and that's pretty much about it. But yeah, just this constant escalation with pacing and challenge, and like how the level design is like, you know, kind of incorporating more like stealth challenges as it goes along. You know, very cool, very nice. Oh yeah, so another gameplay thing is that if you shoot a wall with like a tranquilizer dart, like the caution state will immediately start. So if you don't take out the guy before he calls in radio backup, you're gonna be in a caution state. So never miss your tranquilizer shots, or like never miss them like so close to a wall the enemy's right next to that they would hear it. Just, you know, word to the wise. So yeah, like so this constant escalation. So yeah, I mean, so you enter like that big area with the supplies, which you can kind of skip over, but like if you don't skip over it, there's like this whole big ass area with like a bunch of supplies, a bunch of houses, a bunch of guards, a helicopter you could blow up and sabotage so it doesn't show up later. Just like a ton of stuff happening, and then boom, climax with the boss fight with Ocelot. Whoa! And then after that, that whole big explosion and buildup of action, back to the caves. Kind of slow, a little bit of a more menial task to kind of go through. Oh, it's dark. We have to light like cigar, slow, calm, and then we build up the pain, which I hate that fight. It's the worst part of the game. But whatever, a little bit of an explosion after the cave, and then after the pain, slow down, kind of explore these nice calm areas before and getting to a little bit of a light puzzle with the river. And now here we're kind of going to more sneaking. And now here we have this kind of big box area, which is one of the more complicated areas in the game, just because you have very little cover to move around. It's a little bit more designed like a Metal Gear Solid 2 level, to be honest, just with how. I don't know, it uses a little bit too much verticality to be like a Metal Gear Solid 2 level, but it's a little bit more tight, guard patterns a little more strict, and without a radar, it's a bit challenging. Enemies can kind of spot you from honestly anywhere, so just kind of, I started off, I kind of look over, I take the one guy up on the stairs, and then once I'm in position, I drop down here to take out the guards down here. I don't know, you have to wait for this guy to be there, take him out. You have to be very quick with this too, because if the guards get into a position where they move from there, it can kind of complicate things and they'll see you. And then there's a fourth guy, the final guy, all the way up there. So I'm going to take him out with the tranquilizer, but if I miss my shot, it's going to complicate everything. So now I have to rush through because the guys that just knocked out, they're not going to stay knocked down for long. They have stars on their head. They're going to wake up soon. So before I move on, I'm going to get another silencer for my pistol. Also, you may have not noticed it, but when I defeated the Ocelot Unit, I was kind of carrying one of the guards' bodies because I was picking up items off his body, and the second item I got was a silencer for my tranquilizer. So if you were wondering why I was doing that, I was doing it for that. And then here we're going to pick up some food. Now, you don't want to eat too many food, but food is still useful. You can eat 20 meals. 20 meals is quite a lot, especially if you're rushing through the game. Also, another thing is you have to beat this game in under 5 hours, which is more than the other games. In other games, you have to beat them under 3 hours, but I guess with this game, there's a little more content happening, so 5 hours, whatever. And now here, after going through this rather complicated area, a little calm before the storm, and also it's getting you used to a boss fight area, which you're going to come back to later during the daytime. So it's whoa, cool. So yeah, once again, a little calm before the storm, little nice area, but also it's also getting you used to the future boss fight. See, just this nice pacing and design is just the previous games. I wouldn't say they're paced horribly, but I guess it's the previous games' issues weren't so much pacing, but just level design. Because Metal Gear Solid 1's the second area is the most complicated stealth challenge in the game, and then everything else doesn't really build upon it. While here, each new area or the kind of the pacing loops, kind of escalation, then there's a better term for downfall, the lowering tension of each new area, the way it just kind of builds and goes down and builds and goes down and builds, and it's just a constant progression, keeps you so engaged throughout this entire game. Just it's so tight, it's so it's constantly doing this. It's constantly keeping you engaged. It's constantly throwing you for a loop and kind of going up and down, up and down. It's oh man. But it's not only going up and down. It's also taking the climaxes from previous sections and then doing more with them later on with more complicated areas and more just oh my goodness. The previous games didn't do that. The previous games, Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, their second halves were mostly filled with mostly action set pieces and area that, and level design, which isn't as engaging as the previous stuff in the game, or objectives that didn't take advantage of its stealth gameplay. While here, this game is constantly taking advantage of the way it's kind of sneaks around. And I wouldn't say it's perfect in the way it handles certain things. I don't know, some of the final sections aren't as engaging as some of the more camo heavy focused grassy sections here, but it's still doing new things. It's still doing complications here and there. It's constantly mixing things up, and it's just man, just so good, so good. This game is just this is probably one of the most well-paced games of all time, perhaps. It's such an amazing example of great pacing in a single-player game, and also just the level design constantly keeps going up and up and up. It's just, oh man. So yeah, I don't know, when people say this game is so well-paced, that's why. It doesn't really drop the ball I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 1 or 2 would drop the ball. I don't know, you would have the bomb disposal stuff in Metal Gear Solid 2, which is probably the height of that game's stealth gameplay, because you would have to actually interact with the enemies and kind of also interact in such a way where they wouldn't see you even when you're trying to take out the bomb. But then afterwards, after the taking out the Harrier, it kind of goes a little downhill because you have a bunch of weak sections with swimming, and then you have an escort mission, and then I don't know, the last really engaging pieces stealth gameplays, that final act where you're naked, but then after that it's full on action. So once again, when it comes to stealth gameplay, Snake Eater takes the best advantage of it I will say, I don't think Snake Eater is as hard as the previous games. That's kind of one thing that's kind of missing. Guards like aren't really as smart or as fast as like the Metal Gear Solid 2 guards, so you can kind of like fool around with them a little bit. So anyways, the way you handle that area is pretty self-explanatory. Take out the dog, and you can pretty much just sneak on through there. Take out one of the guards if you want to like sneak through it faster. But yeah, anyways, here what you do here is you stand up, you take out the guard all the way across the map over there, and then after you do that, you can pretty much just run. I'm missing a lot of shots, but I guess the wall I shot behind him is so far away that he doesn't notice. Okay, there we go. I got him. And then just run straight into this next room. And also, so this playthrough, I skipped the cutscenes just because, well, to be fair, this is a game which I've played over like 9 times. Anyways, here, I guess you also have to take that guy out, though I'm not sure if you really need to take that guy out, but I might as well take that guy out because he's looking right at me. So, yeah, I've played this game like 9 times. I mean, like 6 or 7 if I didn't include the playthroughs I did for the Platinum, because I did Platinum this game on the Vita. I did really love playing Snake Eater on the Vita despite all the nerfs to like your aiming and whatnot. Well, thankfully in Snake Eater this isn't too much of an issue. I mean, no damage would be very annoying. But playing it normally, like the Vita version of Snake Eater ain't too bad. It's the Vita version of Metal Gear Solid 2 which is a little bit more complicated, just because that game has a lot more sections which rely a lot more on your aiming. And if you're not good with aiming, then parts are going to be hell. Oh, don't worry though, I did also Platinum Metal Gear Solid 2 on the Vita as well, including all the VR missions. Like, Platinuming Snake Eater on the Vita is way easier than Platinuming, like, Metal Gear Solid 2, just because of the VR missions, and also just Metal Gear Solid 2 is a much harder game overall. Yeah. But yeah, like this game's excellent pacing is probably one of the reasons I came back to it so many times, though to be fair, that's not necessarily unique to this game. You know, replaying it a bunch, I've replayed like 2 and 4 around the same amount of times, and those games like pacing and like the way they would like design their levels as it escalates have a lot of issues. Mostly with 4, but 2 has its issues. I mean, I know Damage 2, you can see the video on that, but yeah. I don't know, 3 is just really great with this, and 3 still kind of has like a weak section in the game. Okay, so like these sections right here where you're kind of disguised, I mean, they're not as engaging as like the camo stealth or whatever, but they're a pretty nice like gimmick section. I don't know, I mean, they don't outstay their welcome too long, and there's a lot of neat stuff you can do here. You can kind of collect items. It's kind of like a breather section, but it's also still kind of tense because, well, I mean, the guards won't do anything to you, but then there's the scientist people, and sometimes they can be placed in a lot of like really unlucky areas, which forces you to kind of, you know, strategize and sneak your way through them. Now anyways, this is not the place you want to be at. I mean, one thing you have to watch out for is do not bump into any guards or it's a full-on alert. So sometimes in these tighter areas, it's like, ooh, ah. So I was actually supposed to go on the other side of the building, not this side of the building, because that's where, like, the guy I have to meet is. While here, there's just a couple extra pieces of ammo to pick up, but nothing else. So, yeah. Well, to be fair, if you're doing this one weird, like, achievement you have to do for Snake Eater where you have to shoot all the little froggies, you do have to go here, because this is where one of those froggies is. And, well, that achievement, very time consuming and all that, yada yada yada. Had to do a full-on playthrough just to do that, so yeah. So that's like one reason you would go here, but you don't really need to go here for the main objective. But yeah, I don't know, when it comes to weak sections, I would say that like the stealth in Groznygrad, like outside like the big building where SHAGOHOG is probably the weak link when it comes to this game's gameplay, but like, I don't know, Snake Eater's weak link isn't bad. Like, the thing with the previous games is that the weak link sections of the previous games were bad. Like that part in Metal Gear Solid 1 where you were sneaking around the Metal Gear like Rex hangar and there was barely anything to do. Like there was only one guard to avoid and you were just kind of moving back and forth, backtracking while listening to like codec conversations. That was bad. Like the story was engaging, but gameplay wise that was so dull. And then there's Metal Gear Solid 2. The swimming sections are bad. My God. They're horrible. But then we get to Metal Gear Solid 3 and like, I don't know, sneaking around like those like, you know, big bases and all that. The thing that's kind of weak about it is that you can't really take advantage of your camo like you could in the previous sections, but I kind of appreciate it in that way. It's a kind of a mix-up. Like, okay, in the previous sections you kind of camouflage yourself fully, but now you're kind of put out into the open here. You're a bit naked. Like, whoa, what are you going to do? Like, I mean, you know, it's a nice mix-up in terms of stuff gameplay, though it doesn't exactly complicate things too much because the areas are a little too big for their own good. Because you can kind of like mostly run through those areas and enemies will be like, huh, what was that? But you're so far away that they won't exactly see you. Now, when it gets complicated is when you're trying to break out of the prison. That was kind of a neat little switch up, though to be fair, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of sections where a game kind of takes away every single tool you have to kind of experiment with a game, and now you're just kind of naked and have to like rely on the very, very core elements of stuff. I mean, it's kind of like simplifies things too much, but I think it has a nice place here. But yeah, that part's really challenging because you have like way less camo than before. Anyways, a neat trick you can do is you can open doors with a box. So you can kind of stand right next to a door, equip the box, and boom, it opens the door without you doing that full animation. And also it hides you from any enemies like on the other side of the room. So another cool thing. And the thing is, I'm trying to like decide, is the scientist facing away from me or is he not facing away from me? So anyways, with this guy, we're gonna wait for him to come back to like his computer down here, and that's where we're gonna run past him. But yeah, like the weak link sections of like the previous games are just like bad. Well, this one is like, maybe not as engaging as some of the stuff that came before, but it's still like pretty fun to kind of solve and like kind of sneak your way through anyways. So like, yeah, it's like still nice challenge, nice build up, and like the pacing just keeps kind of going on, and then like there's the huge climax at the end, which we're gonna get there definitely, and then there's like a final section before the boss fight, which is an escort mission, which could be a bit annoying, though this one's a little bit more engaging than the one in Metal Gear Solid 2, because now we're back to like sneaking around in the grass, and it's like, oh, you're in caution alert. It's kind of like the beginning of the game, but like a lot more challenging. Though I wouldn't say it's as good as like some of the normal sneaking and like the camo stuff, but like nice little like kind of build up to the final boss, and then boom, the final boss, and then yeah, there we go. Though to be fair, this is all gameplay pacing. I haven't exactly talked about story pacing, so I don't really know how I would go about that though. I'll get to the story pacing, but right now, so here I open the door with a box to see if that scientist is there, and then I run past him. Then you have to roll past that one guard, and I guess activating the box there helped me. I don't know, that's a really tricky section, because the one scientist sitting at like his desk, like the second desk on the right, is gonna get up if you like walk or run past him. So yeah, like, I mean, I'm not sure if what I did there is the best way to get past him. I mean, it's fast, but I'm sure if you threw maybe a few smoke grenades here and there, that could have helped. But I don't know. Get a little bit more experimental with things. So yeah, then after that, getting out of here is pretty easy. So story pacing, I guess, like, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid's always had long cutscenes. I mean, like, Metal Gear Solid 1 has long cutscenes. I don't know, I don't really know how to judge it. Like so Metal Gear Solid 1 had like pretty long cutscenes, though not as long as some of the stuff in the future games, but still pretty long. And like the thing you would kind of run into with like Metal Gear Solid 1 is that you would do a very short section of gameplay, and then boom, very long cutscene, and then short section of gameplay. So sometimes you feel like you're not engaging with the game as much, though I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 1 is definitely very much about its cutscenes and all that. Like, I don't know, without those cutscenes, without like that story and atmosphere, like it really is not the same game. So, but then we get to Metal Gear Solid 2, which kind of takes that whole cutscene approach and goes even further with it, having longer cutscenes and at times shorter sections of gameplay with being interrupted by longer cutscenes. And then, well, that's continued with like Metal Gear Solid 3. Anyways, here I'm gonna do some. This is the only time I'm gonna hold an enemy up, because I don't know, I don't really need to hold the enemy up most of the time, but I kind of wanted to get a few more materials, so why not? And also, I just think it's super cool, just like slowly sneak up on an enemy, like holding them up. It's like one of like the cool things you can learn to do in this game. But I'm just kind of sad I don't do it much in this video. Like, there's a lot of things you can do in Snake Eater which go beyond what I do in this video to no damage it and like beat it in under 3 hours. Well, I mean, my official time is over 3 hours, but this video is under 3 hours, so I don't have to commentate for over 3 hours. But whatever. Like Snake Eater has a lot going on in it, and there's like a couple optional areas I skip. One of them, like probably the best area in the game, but I skipped it just because one of the reasons it's the best area in the game is because you have to do a lot of sneaking, a lot of experimentation. It's just really fun to mess around in, but it is optional, so I decided to skip it and all. But yeah, besides all that, okay, so beyond that hold up technique, I don't know, I mean, one thing I like to do is kind of hold enemies up, take their ammo and all that, hold them up, and then I interrogate them from that same position. Like, it's a little bit of a weird I don't know, control gimmick you have to do. You have to hold them up. You have to like target them as well with like the left bumper, because this game has a targeting system. So that's how I'm able to kind of loop around them while still holding them up. And yeah, then you just kind of do that. But when it comes to story pacing, Snake Eater, I'd say the beginning's pretty rough. Like, you start the game off and it's like, boom, you're like thrust into this whole briefing section, and it's like super long, and also a bunch of cutscenes here and there. And then it's not just the cutscenes, but then like when you're finally put into the game, you're in like a little tutorial area, and then you get your items, and then you're put into like a very long codec conversation. You know, it's like all set up for like kind of the big plot of Snake Eater and all that. You know, the big epic James Bond inspired journey, but it is a little bit much to ask for like first time players, because I don't know, you'll be going through very short sections of the gameplay, and then boom, you're thrust into like a movie. But the thing about Snake Eater is that later on it kind of starts to let go of the cutscenes and really lets you engage with the gameplay more. I'd say probably more than like the other games. Well, I mean, except for the Phantom Pain, and I'll get to that game when we get to that game. And Peace Walker, I mean, yeah, no. Whatever, I'll get to those games when I get to those games. But yeah, like, I don't know, like once you start into like the Snake Eater portion of the game, like you get to engage more with like these like big chunks of gameplay before getting to the long cutscenes. So now there's a little bit more of a satisfying back and forth. You know, you go through like this nice chunk of gameplay, and then boom, awesome cutscenes, you know, like new character interactions, like, you know, all right, cool. So then, like I say, the pacing starts to even out there, and it does like something which I don't think like the previous games did as well. So, you know, very nice. So anyways, I'm gonna be coming up on the fear boss fight, so I'm equipping my poison dart frog. So yeah, here's something which I don't do much in this game, but you can equip your food and use it as an item to kind of throw at enemies. That's another thing. So like the detail with like the survival system and all the animals you can get is really cool. I mean, you can shoot birds, which to be fair is kind of hard to do, so like it's not really advisable. You can just like kill a bunch of other animals to use as food, but you can also use them as like, you know, throwing them and stuff. Like you can capture snakes alive and then throw them at like guards' heads to like kill the guards, because the snake will start biting the guard's head if you throw it at them while it's alive. However, I'm doing a non-lethal run, so I can't do that, but that is a really cool thing you can do. So yeah, this area I just kind of sneaked through it, laying down on my stomach and all that, so, you know, whatever. So here is the fear. And pretty much like, he is really easy if you have the fake death pill. Also here I take mandatory damage, because like in the cutscene Snake got shot, so there I have to heal myself. I took damage. Owie. I guess you can't no damage the entire game, but yeah, here I'm gonna take the fake death pill to pretty much do a really cheesy strategy, though I don't fully commit to the cheesy strategy because I want to show off another strategy as well. Like, normally this fight is pretty simple, but like there's fun ways to play around with it, like, and also play around with the fear's like behavior. And I'll show you how you play around with the fear's behavior when I kind of get to the strategy I want to show off. So yeah, just kind of wait for this guy to turn around, get up, throw a stun grenade. And the reason you throw a stun grenade is because when the fear is stunned, you can shoot him with an AK and it will count as non-lethal damage for some reason. So you could just end the entire fight right here, but I'm just gonna, you know, let him have two of his like kind of segments of his health, because once he reaches like half of his stamina health, he starts to get hungry. So he'll actually go out and start hunting for food to fill up that stamina bar. So it's like, oh, I gotta be on the lookout. I can't let him get the food. But he's very fast with getting it. However, you can kind of stay ahead of the curve and throw out some food for the fear to get. You know, kind of make his job easier. But you can feed him poison frogs, which will like deplete his life bar a bit. But that's not what I'm trying to do, because throughout, you know, this section, he's also going to throw up, and every time he throws up, he's going to lose a bit of that stamina bar. So here, just throw out a bunch of poison dart frogs, and I can just stand still and wait for him to die. But another great thing which happens while he's eating this food is that he'll stay paused at certain moments to throw up, and during those moments, you can kind of get extra hits on him with like the tranquilizer gun or even just some CQC. So yeah, like, this fight is pretty simple. It's just like, oh, he's camouflaged, and to be fair, he's not camouflaged that well. Like, I don't know, even without the thermal goggles, you can kind of keep a good eye on him and just keep shooting him every time he lands on the tree or when he stands still. And that's pretty much the fight until like this second phase here where he starts to hunt for food, and there you have to kind of play a little bit more quickly, a little bit more tricksterly, and also there's a lot of traps in this area which you have to watch out for. And well, the fear kind of also has to watch out for, but he doesn't trip them as much as you do. So like, you need to be aware of your environment. This is an environment we visited before, so I don't know, I guess we have a little bit of a prelude, a little bit of an introduction to the challenges you would be facing here. So yeah, I mean, it's not too like complicated of a fight, but there's enough going on that it's not a complete chore like the pain. I mean, it is easier than the pain fight, definitely. But like, man, the pain fight is just like, it's not that it's hard or like that you can't really gimmick your way out of it, because like there are other fights in this game which are kind of like that. I'd say the Fury is kind of in there. Oh, wow, look at that guy. The Fury went like, ah, he just flew all the way to the left. What's wrong with him? Like, I mean, the Fury is another fight which is kind of like the pain, where you kind of have to deal with him, and it's tough. But the Fury scenario is way more interesting. The pain scenario, you just stand on a rock and shoot him. Like, what? Like, what? Like, there's no stealth involved. There's no like, it's lame. It's boring and it's basic. The only thing he has going for him is that he shoots bees. But that's not enough. So yeah, like the Fear is like better, even though I would say he is easier even fighting him normally. But like, yeah, just, man, the pain's the worst part of this game easily. So yeah, but also defeating the Fear non-lethally gives you the Spider camo, which is probably one of the most useful camos in the game. However, it takes up a lot of your stamina. Pretty much it just gives you 80% like just camo for everything. I mean, if you're running, it's at 70, but if you stand still while standing up, you're at 80. So you can just kind of run up, just shoot the enemies down here. However, when your stamina gets low, your aiming also starts to get shaky. So yeah, and also since you're on a Foxhound run, you don't want to eat that much food, and you also don't want to like use too many of the healing radio frequencies. Like, I don't know, I definitely use up all of them, but there was only like 7 or 8 of them. I don't have an exact count on that, but it's not infinite. So yeah, here I'm just gonna knock out all the enemies. And I accidentally let that guy wake up that guy before, and now I gotta knock that guy out. Thankfully, they haven't called radio yet. At least I don't think they have yet. Oh, and watch out. When you run out of a suppressor, even if you have multiple suppressors, you have to re-equip a new suppressor. So sometimes if you're like shooting really fast to take out all the enemies, like, I don't know, that might catch you off guard. So, you know, watch out for that. Now here, I don't exactly know what I think I might take this guy out. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take him out with CQC maybe. Yeah, but I'm taking it really slow because I don't know, like running downstairs makes you slower. There we go, and that ends the caution state. So I don't know. When it comes to caution states, if you can stop before they call in radio, then you should be fine. But once they call in the radio, like backup's gonna show up. Though backup isn't as dangerous as it was in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like Metal Gear Solid 2 backup, like the smaller areas and just like the amount of guys that would show up. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, I was talking about like pacing with the game. Like, and I mentioned that Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 have really poor kind of like second halves, or like the pacing kind of stops like emphasizing its stealth. And I forgot to bring up the Twin Snakes, because the Twin Snakes actually kind of fixes some of the issues which like the pacing in Metal Gear Solid 1 had when it comes to its gameplay, because they redesigned some of the final areas to actually be more about stealth. Like, I don't know, like the final like Metal Gear hangar isn't just some boring area you navigate. It's actually like a bit of a challenging stealth challenge. A challenging stealth challenge. I keep repeating words. It's a bit of a challenging stealth like box to kind of figure out, but it's still not as complicated as the second area in the game. Oh my goodness, that second area was too good to be the second area in the game. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, I don't really know what I would call the most complicated area in Metal Gear Solid 2. I mean, like the tanker, like that one part where you were sneaking through, like, I don't know, like the pipes or whatnot, and there's like 4 or 5 guys, and there was a bit of verticality involved. Pretty much like once you start really going down the tanker, that's like one of its more complicated parts. And then there's like the gimmicky part with like all the soldiers looking at the screen. That's not really complicated, but it was a really cool set piece and kind of a nice little stealth scenario to end that part on. But yeah, that's probably the most complicated stealth part of Metal Gear Solid 2. But when it comes to like the plant chapter, like the strut F, oh my goodness, like strut F, like the verticality of it can make it a bit complicated to navigate. But I probably might say that the tanker chapter still has the more complicated part. I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 2 isn't too bad with having one area that's just like ridiculously over-designed over the other areas. So like, yeah. And now for Snake Eater, I'd say probably the most complicated stealth like challenge or like area in the game is probably that one place with the house, which I am gonna skip. And it's coming right up. It's pretty much like a alternate path you can take before fighting the end. and it's pretty much it's this little house. There's a couple more materials you can get there, but it's so much fun. I mean, there's like guards around the area, and then there's guards inside like the little house, and then like there's a little munitions shed you can kind of blow up like kind of away from the house to distract the guards. So you can enter the house. So there's multiple entrances inside the house, and it's just like it's pretty much a vertical slice of like what Snake Eater's about. And yes, I did take that from the Super Bunny Hop video. Yeah, you should probably watch his video on Metal Gear Solid 3. It's pretty great, though it has been a while since I've seen it. But yeah. I now learned what vertical slice is. Like in my Yakuza 7 video, I wanted to say vertical slice, but I didn't know that the term I was trying to refer to was called a vertical slice. Now, what a vertical slice is that usually when making a game, like you kind of want to, demonstrate your mechanics and all that. Like, what is your game about? Like, so usually developers will make like one area or like one level, which kind of shows all the mechanics at like their peak perfection, like everything working perfectly as intended, like probably showing the strength of their games all in like one little area. So like that little area with the house, that's probably Snake Eater's vertical slice, showing off like the strength of its like new stealth gameplay, the kind of somewhat emergent way you can kind of mess with the enemy AI and all that. Just really great stuff. And it's not going to be in this video because like I don't really need materials, and I can kind of just skip it. And I kind of like these more optional areas, like, just adds a little bit more freedom to the game. It's not as linear anymore. I mean, it's still a pretty linear game, but not as linear as, like, the previous Metal Gear Solid. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2, like, this diagonal, like, kind of format made it a little less linear, but it's still pretty linear. But I like the diagonal format of the plant in Metal Gear Solid 2. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 1's linear, but like it used backtracking a lot to kind of make its area longer and the game longer, but it's still pretty linear. It's a pretty straight line. So yeah, here I don't really have a solid grasp on what to do, but pretty much just kind of sneak. Honestly, once you get to this part with this kind of like little mud pit, that's the part you want to crawl. Like the rest of it you can probably just run through, because I don't think there's any enemies before this part, but yeah, I don't think there's any enemies before this part, so run all the way here and then start crawling, and then you can start checking out these guys, or ghost be like past them. To be fair, I don't think I've seen a video of people like ghosting Metal Gear Solid games, but though to be fair, I have not looked at any ghosting Metal Gear Solid games besides, I don't know, like the Phantom Pain. I've seen some ghosting stuff for that with the whole no trace stuff, though I'm probably not gonna copy it. Yeah, like I don't know. I should also probably watch Super Bunny Hop's walkthrough where he tries to pretty much beat the entire European Extreme without using the tranquilizer, which is a pretty cool tactic, though I don't think I'm brave enough to go ahead with it. So here I'm going to take this guy out, and then he woke up that guy, but now I have to take this guy out, and I don't know what I was doing there. I got really lucky. And now, like, since they're stunned and not, like, tranquilized, I have to rush through here really quickly, and I don't really want to tranquilize them because I don't have that much tranquilizer ammo. So here I'm going to try to crawl quickly through the area. Crawl quickly. Yeah. Well, I'll see how that turns out. So while I'm waiting to crawl quickly, I guess I'll move on to another topic. Oh, yeah, I will still be crawling because there are more enemies in the area you have to watch out for, so it's not just those guys. Look at that. That guy's walking around like nothing happened. Like, oh my goodness. But yeah, let's talk about this game's music. Because, man, like, I don't know. I mean, does this game have the best, like, score out of any Metal Gear Solid game? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, oh, to be fair, I'm not counting like the Metal Gear 1 and 2 because I have not listened to their soundtracks in a long while. And like, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake has an amazing soundtrack. These like kick-ass like bit tunes, like oh my goodness, like the sad song in like Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, amazing stuff. And Metal Gear Solid has amazing music, just like the chanting and all that, just like whoa, and like the music, the way it builds up throughout the game, really good stuff. And also it just adds so much to the atmosphere. I don't know, the Twin Snakes I found kind of nerfed it, though the Twin Snakes has some positives, like the boss tracks aren't too bad. And oh, I'm already at the end fight. I don't have much time to talk about the music, but yeah, so pretty much I have to equip smoke grenades. And I'm going to equip the directional mic just in case I have to use it, though I do never use it in this section of the video because I don't know. The way I tackle this boss fight, sometimes it can get a little complicated and I kind of lose track of where the end goes. Okay, so pretty much start it off, hold the smoke grenade, throw it there. So holding a smoke grenade makes your footsteps silent. Holding a grenade in general makes your footsteps silent. So if you want to sneak up on an enemy, that's one way to do it, though I don't take too much advantage of it except for this part right here. And then I'll equip the box because using the box actually makes you climb up these like slopes like faster, which is pretty nice. And also, I throw out a smoke grenade because the smoke kind of blocks me from the end as well. And also, I'm using the fixed camera angle just so I can have a better idea of where I am, because the fixed camera angle, it's always going to be fixed. So if I move Snake up, he's always going to move up regardless of where the camera is, because it's a fixed camera angle. So that's like one advantage of the original camera system. Though the 3D camera system definitely helps when I'm trying to find the end, because sometimes it could be situated in ways where like I can't see the end, and it's like, bro, man, come on. So yeah, pretty much just run through that, enter that one area, and then we're going to crawl all the way to the left and then come down this slope to enter this area, and that's where the end is going to be. Now, I'm copying Jaguar King's strategies, though I couldn't fully copy them because like I just could not do like the sick like freaking speedrun combination he did with throwing grenades and the snake grenades, but I do something very similar. So do a little Siggy there, wait for him to like be stunned twice, and then hold him up, pull out the Siggies again, and then like spray him, pop, pop, and then what you do is you pull out a stun grenade and you throw it right at his face or like up, and I don't know, if you have to do certain things so that he doesn't stun you back, and then once he gets stunned, another Siggy, and then you throw another grenade to kind of keep him in place, but for some reason I screwed up the way I did it, or I didn't look away from like the stun grenade, so I'm stunned for too long, so I can't really see the end, so I guess I messed up his behavior, so I have to like follow him to another area instead of stunning him, and it's just like, but following him to another area worked out okay for me, though I do not end up getting his camo, because one cool thing you can do with the end is that if you hold them up 3 times, you'll get like his camo, the end camo, and it pretty much can give you 100% like camo index in certain grassy areas, which is really cool, really nice. So for like replays and stuff. But I did not get it, and to be fair, I didn't really need it for this playthrough, and to be fair, like after this area, like we're not really going to be visiting any grassy areas which are dangerous. So yeah, like sometimes, like the end will sometimes do a dangerous thing if you lower his stamina health bar too much before he enters the next area. Well, he'll just be sniping you from that position and looking straight at you while trying to cross this area, but for the most part, he'll be in a position where he'll be looking away from you. You can actually get the drop on him like this. Now, like, I could still use, like, the grenade method by holding it and, like, running at him slowly, but I'm cautious. So instead, I'm just doing the slow thing. So if you don't do the grenade thing, this is how you approach him. Because if you just run at him, he's going to hear you and he's going to drop on you. So yeah, Siggy, hold him up, do another Siggy. Yeah, and then quickly go to the grenade. Though I don't have any more stun grenades, so it's time for a smoke grenade. And yeah, like, I mean, this is pretty much the strategy. Look up so that you don't get blinded by the smoke or stun grenade or whatever, blah, 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 something like that. Throw another one. Hopefully that'll work, but I guess it's not going to work because he's going to run away or something. Oh, no, it worked. And then I do, like, the last one. And the reason you kind of keep doing that pattern is because if you do it 3 times in a row, he's just going to get stunned. And you don't exactly want him to get stunned, so you kind of want to buffer it out with all these, like, in-between stuff, like the grenades, holding him up, yada, 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 yada. So yeah, the Siggies actually have quite a bit of use. And now here, this is where things can get complicated, though thankfully like his AI like reacted in a way which was pretty easy for me. I'm going to attach the fear camo so that I can run without getting caught. However, you can still get caught while running if he gets a good eye on you, but at least this gives you a little bit more security than just running without all this camo. And here I'm using the thermal goggles to track his footprints. And the reason you'd want to run to see his footprints is because after a certain while, the footprints disappear. Like, the way you can track the end, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, one is just running around and waiting for him to shoot you, or you can track his footprints, or you can use the directional mic to see where he's breathing, and then track that. And it's just, like, a lot of cool things. And also, every time you visit a sniping spot, it's going to get brought up, like, later on in the map. So you can check the map and see what spots are kind of sniping spots, kind of work your way through that. There's a lot of really neat ways to go about it. Now here, the way he's kind of facing a little too close to me, so instead of trying to approach him and hold him up, I'm just going to take him out with this little tranquilizer pistol from across that little area there. And that is the end. Probably the best boss fight in the game, though I don't think like my attempt made it seem that epic, but it was still pretty fun. Just kind of very slow, very like, no music, no nothing, just straight on, like, sneaky battle, amazing stealth boss fight. Probably a peak Metal Gear Solid boss fight. Let's go. So, yeah, let me get back to the music. So, I mean, like, the previous games had amazing music. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2 also has a pretty great soundtrack, a lot of really good tracks. But, man, this game just like, it's just like all, like, the caution track when you're trying to, like, sneak away from enemies and all that. Like, That track is amazing. It's like the dun 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 dun, and the way it changes based on the area to area, just it's just so good. And like, you know, I mean, doing a speedrun type thing, you might miss some of those tracks, but like playing the game normally for the first time is such a great experience. It's like, oh man, I just love the music for this. I don't really know how to go further and how to talk to the music because I'm not really that versed in like music theory or whatever, but yeah, just, I don't know, amazing soundtrack. And like the future games don't exactly have horrible soundtracks. I don't know, like honestly, I don't really know how to judge Portable Ops soundtrack. I don't really remember it that well. Metal Gear Solid 4 soundtrack is kind of like, yeah, there's a few good tracks here and there, but it's kind of forgettable in comparison to like Snake Eater. Now Peace Walker, like that game soundtrack, I still don't think is as memorable as Snake Eater. However, it does have some pretty great boss fight tracks here and there. Like, I don't know, like the final boss track. I mean, not like the secret ending final boss track. I mean, that one too, but also the final boss track is amazing. So anyways, here is probably one of the most memorable moments in Snake Eater, where it's just you climbing a ladder and like the theme. Snake Eater plays an amazing theme, but like only the vocals, and it's kind of like this great moment where you like reflect on everything that's happened like before like the game. You reflect on the whole like journey, just because like it's such an evocative image of like the whole, like, you know, ascending this long ass staircase and the big hole down there. So to replicate that, I'm going to stop talking so you can reflect on the commentary I've provided up to this point. So, given that moment to reflect, I should say that I did not outline much of any points for this video. I had like 3, but now like I'm kind of coming up with stuff to say on the fly, and it's just like, I don't know, like talking badly about a game is a lot easier than talking well about a game per se. Like, I don't know, I mean, like, oh, if the combat's good, like the combat's good, but if the combat's bad, oh, it's because it doesn't feel well, you know, it's a lot easier to tear something down and then bring it up. So yeah, I don't know, that was just one point to bring up. So anyways, here I'm equipping the milk snake because I'm going to use it later on in this level. But yeah, right now also changed up my camo to animal. So not only is animals good for setting your aim, it's also great cover for this setting right here. So like this section is pretty much like the last time no, not really. It's like the last time without using an escort. No, without like having to escort someone that you're gonna have to use your camo a lot. I don't know, because the next couple of sections are going to like de-emphasize camo stuff. So anyways, just kind of run through that and then crouch here and wait for that guy to turn around, and then once he turns around, I'm gonna run up at him, grab him, and then throw him down and hold him up.
Freeze.
Oh, I think this might actually be the first time I'm doing this technique. Like, wait, is it the first time I'm doing the whole hold up technique? I actually forget. But yeah, this is the first time I did the hold up. Is it though? But yeah, I'm doing the hold up technique, and it kind of keeps them, well, there longer than if I just knocked them out. I actually forget if I did the hold up technique before in this video. I'm not gonna check. I'm just gonna assume that I did. But yeah, you can hold enemies up and they'll stay down for longer. Oh yeah, so Metal Gear Solid definitely, like, you know, modified a few things of this game to kind of work better in this open environment, but it doesn't exactly work perfectly. Crawling, for instance, has a bit of jank to it, especially with the more, well, just kind of, there's a word for this, kind of sharp, like janky and like geometry here. You have these like little hills with these sharp points and cutoffs, So whenever you reach one of these like weird edges, when like going down or up, sometimes Snake will do this thing where he just can't move forward, or sometimes he'll just stand up, like, you know, kind of a crouching position, because I don't know, it's like like that little edge kind of registers as a wall. So like there's could be a little bit of clunkiness there, especially if you're like right next to an enemy, then suddenly like your character stands up and it's like, whoa, you get caught immediately. Like, come on, man. So yeah, the previous area wasn't all that challenging. You just take out that one guy and then kind of crawl for the rest of it, but kind of if an enemy's looking away from you, you can run. Now here you start the level off by this section by tranquilizing that guy way up there, and then we're pretty safe. However, that area I just entered to collect some ammo, it has a scorpion in there, so if you want to do no damage, be wary of the scorpion, because if you walk over the scorpion, it stings you. Anyways, stay crouched here because there's an enemy here. You could just tranquilize him, or you could distract him to get the drop on him, because I guess I'm trying to save some ammo here. I mean, like 25 bullets is a lot, but like it runs out quick, and if you're not replenishing it a lot. So in this here, I'm gonna hold this guy up because, well, I can, and also I'm gonna be spending a little too much time in this level to knock that guy out normally. He's gonna wake up and cause a caution alert, and it's gonna complicate everything. It's even gonna complicate the next area, because caution alerts do follow you in the next area, and well, caution alerts can complicate things because more enemies will show up. But another thing that will happen is that the enemies, which are the normal enemies in the level, will be more alerted. Like they'll be like going through faster guard routines. They might even switch up their routines a bit. Like, I'm not the most knowledgeable on this, but like it does make things a bit more challenging. So yeah, now here I'm just kind of crawling because there's gonna be an enemy who's gonna show up right there, and I'm just gonna tranquilize him. And then the next guy which shows up, I think you can kind of run towards, but I played a little careful just because, you know, I don't want to get caught prematurely. But yeah, this guy, if you just approach him really fast, he's going to be facing away from you. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to grab him, throw him down, and then hold up. That's how it is. And that guy's not going to be a bother anymore. And here I'm trying to find there's an alternate path to get down the mountain, but going that way is wrong. Like there's I believe there's two ways to go to the final section of this area. It's like pretty much like the lower part, which kind of just takes you like straight ahead, or the upper part, which gives you like this big overview of the area. Honestly, I should have taken the overhead path because it would have been easier to kind of tranquilize all the enemies. However, the path I take here allows me to, you know, use less tranquilizers, because I'm actually going to take this guy out with CQC over there, but I'm going to wait for him to face away. And when you know, okay, so sometimes enemies will just kind of stand still and look over a place, but like when they look left and right, that's when they're considering changing like their position. So just watch out for that little like signal, and then, you know, just be ready to take advantage of when they move away. Yeah, there we go, there it is. And then he's just gonna turn around and give me time to CQC him. There we go, and now we're going to approach him. But there is an enemy over there, so, you know, just kind of watch out. But he's really far away, so I can kind of take advantage of this. And to be honest, if I positioned myself better, I probably could have CQC'd that guy too, but instead I'm going to tranquilize him just cause I'm trying to be careful here. Don't want to alert things too much. I kind of almost screw everything up because oh, no, I don't. The only reason he goes into caution is because he saw his friend. I don't know. It might be a future moment, or maybe like a past moment where I missed a shot and it almost put everyone on alert, but then I knocked out all the enemies. So yeah, there's a third enemy who's kind of in a static placement. He's just watching over the entrance there. So we can kind of enter this building to pick up some more food supplies. And then we can kind of wait for him to turn around, and then we can knock him out with CQC. And yeah, I'm going to crouch down here, just kind of wait for him to go through there. And oh yeah, I have been applying some pretty funny face paints, like the UK, green, France, because I know sometimes the face paint doesn't matter much, so you can kind of just put whatever you want. So yeah, I'm France now. So yeah, wait for him to turn around, and yeah, I'm also going to hold this guy up. But to be fair, I didn't really need to hold him up, but you know, why not? It's a cool thing to do. And now here comes like the most complicated part of like the desert section, just kind of this big ascending part right here. And if you enter this place with like a caution state, or like open, it just, oh my goodness, you need to come at this calmly. So yeah, first order of business is kind of, I mean, I'd crawled there, but I don't really think you need to crawl there. Just kind of run all the way over there, pick up this camo right here, and like Splinter is pretty good for some of the later sections, the more like kind of urban type like developments, like the building type stuff. Because I don't know, like that's pretty much like the best camo for those sections, aside from Spider. But yeah, so yeah, good to pick that up now. And I could have sworn there was like a camo set that like was good for snow, which wasn't Oscum. I'm pronouncing it wrong, like Oscum, Osca. I don't know, but like there might have been a camo that was like literally called snow, but I don't know where you would pick it up. I could have sworn like that was the area where you would have picked it up, but I don't know. Also, so at the beginning of this game, you can select these options like, oh, this is my first time playing Metal Gear Solid 3, or I love Metal Gear Solid 1, or I love Metal Gear Solid 2, or I love Metal Gear Solid 3. And it'll actually change like what type of camos you get. To be fair, I kind of forgot what exactly it changes, but it does change stuff. Anyways, here I caused a caution alert, and I have no idea how to get rid of it. Like, I don't know why it got caused. I guess, like, I shot an enemy too soon or something, and I shot another enemy too soon. So, yeah, while I did say don't cause a caution alert, I did just cause a caution alert. It's not something you want to do, but it's what I did, and I'm just going to have to deal with the consequences of it. And thankfully, well, since it is in this video, I did no damage this section, not getting caught. And here, going a little bit risky, you know, running up. But then I heard some footsteps, so I'm kind of, I'm taking it careful here. Oh, it's like that guy checking out over there. I couldn't really check like which enemy was still alerted to like have a caution state. It's really confusing. And there's that helicopter there. Now, the previous area, like the one area before you faced Ocelot, I believe that if you destroy the helicopter there, then I'm pretty sure. No, this guy, I don't know. He got like a red exclamation mark on his head. I guess because he got a look at me, but he didn't exactly. He didn't exactly like fully see me. That's weird because like I could have sworn that if an enemy has a red exclamation point on their head, like they just immediately saw me and it's over. But I guess sometimes enemies can have a red exclamation point and not see you. Like, I mean, you know, I mentioned it before that if an enemy has like a green exclamation point and then like they see you, like, you know, that's when it's over. That's how you're able to run at enemies and throw them down. However, another thing is that if an enemy has a green exclamation point, you hide away from them and then you try to approach them and do the same thing you would do normally, like run at them and then they look at you. It'll be an immediate game over this time because you already had the green question mark and they're trying to check you out. So when they're trying to check you out and you try to run at them and they look at you, then it's already game over because they already had the green check mark over the green exclamation point over their head. They can't do it 2 times, so they're just gonna immediately do the red exclamation point. So you can't be as brash in approaching enemies after they've had their green exclamation point and they're still checking you out. You have to wait for them to calm down before like trying to do a brash strategy like that, like run at them and seek you see them, or you know, pull out the grenade and like walk silently towards them so that they don't turn around. I honestly should have used that more often throughout my video because I did use like a thing where I made my footsteps silent in Metal Gear Solid 1 quite a bit. So I don't know why I didn't take more advantage of it in Metal Gear Solid 3. I guess I just kind of learned a little too late. And look at this ridiculous shit. So he just stands right on top of me. I'm like right below his balls and he doesn't see me, bro. I guess like my camel index is too powerful. Like I guess see like his foot hitboxes were like like right next to my head, but not on my head. What was that? What was that? I don't know. I guess Snake Eater the Goat game. That's it. Snake Eater Goat. It's what it is. What it is. So yeah, my strategy there was like completely improvisational. So I don't really have much of a strategy except kind of, you know, take it slow, kind of, you know, take the same path I took, kind of, you know, go down into that one tunnel, climb up there. But when you're climbing up there, make sure like there's no enemies around you which can see you. And, you know, just kind of keep crawling, keep taking it slow, and then, you know, get lucky when an enemy jumps straight on your head. So that you know, it doesn't activate the alert state or whatever. But you know, I'm glad it didn't because they made for like a funny little video clip there. Now we're on pretty much on the road to the Fury. So like I guess I might as well talk about another topic while I'm on the road to the Fury because I don't know, my strategy for like this next part of the area isn't too complicated because I'm mostly going to be relying on the spider camo to pretty much like take a certain path and jump down and then open the door, which takes me straight to the Fury. But Okay, so I'm playing the HD collection, which is pretty great because I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 3 at 60 FPS. You know, cool. Though I will say it isn't a perfect 60 FPS because there will be later parts of the game which slow down, and I'm a little unsure if like those sections also slow down on PS2 because I'm pretty. I mean, there's definitely sections of this game which slowed down on PS2, so maybe it's the same sections on this part of the game. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, here there's going to be a guy with a flamethrower, and if you're a little quick, you can kind of get the drop on him quicker than I do, but I wait him out a little too much because I'm a little nervous. But yeah, so, you know, this HD collection is probably the best way to play the game, though I guess I have a preference towards the Xbox version because controls are better, but there's a few disadvantages. One, it's missing a lot of content from the original release. So in the original Snake Eater, I don't know, when you get tortured, after you get tortured, Snake will have a dream where he plays this hack and slash game, and they completely removed this in like the HD collection. I'm actually a little unsure if they removed this in Subsistence or something, and like, you know, now they just copy Subsistence, but yeah, it's gone now, and that sucks. Another thing that's missing is that Snake Eater had like this bonus stuff. I forget if this is Snake Eater or Subsistence, but they had this little like bonus thing where you could play a bunch of missions like this, like kind of centered around like Ape Escape, those games. So you're just hanging around with these apes doing stealth missions with them, and now that's just completely gone here. So I'm assuming like those Ape Escape missions are kind of like a version of the VR missions in Metal Gear Solid 2, and now we just don't have those in the HD collection. So honestly, if they're gonna like redo the port of this, they might as well bring those over. But I guess for some reason they can't, because if they didn't do it with this like HD collection, then they're not gonna do it for PS4, and especially with the new complications with Kojima and Konami. And to be fair, I mean, that's like what I'm saying is very optimistic, like as if they would even do another re-release of this like collection. Like this I don't think it's happening. So yeah. But yeah, I'm sad. I kind of missed those, and honestly, the hack and slash thing would have been cool. I wonder if you could no damage that, and even like how does the hack and slash game even play? Because everyone keeps saying that, keeps mentioning that it's like, you know, super cool, but I have zero idea how it plays, how it looks like. It's just a really cool thing, which I'm excited to like experience. I don't know, someday. I don't know. I might go to the original version of the game just to see that, and also for the, you know, Ape Escape missions. And I do need to play some Ape Escape at some point because I hear those games are fun. And now here I'm just kind of prepping myself for the Fury fight. So yeah, I guess I'll see y'all there when I get there. Oh yeah, so another aspect of survival is your backpack. So I don't know, in the previous games you kind of had like an infinite like inventory, which you just kind of select and you just choose everything. But now here you can kind of choose, like pick and choose which things you're gonna have in your inventory. So you're kind of limited in that sense. But you know, it's a pretty cool mechanic. You know, like, you know, specialize. However, the more things you have in your inventory, the more weight they add, which means you get tired quicker. So that's why sometimes I'll equip and unequip stuff just because of that weight limit, so that I don't run out of stamina as fast. And honestly, I don't know how effective that is, but hey, might as well do it. I mean, it's a cool little mechanic, so why not just take full advantage of it? And yeah, so here I just kind of equip myself with pretty much the necessary tools for the Fury fight. Though I will say, this fight pissed me off so much because, like, I thought I no damaged the Fury because I never got hit by him, but in the attempt I recorded, the bats damaged me. Like, are you kidding me? And it was such a swaggy attempt too. I had a moment where I was like paused in the menu because I was thinking like, how am I was gonna take damage from the fire because he was shooting fire at me. But then I equipped a box and nothing happened because I equipped the box, I used the box, I stayed to the side, and I ran through the fire and it didn't damage me because the box blocks the fire. It was awesome. But now that attempt is lost, so instead we have this attempt, which is quicker, but I didn't do anything with the box. So when it's here, run all the way to the side here, and then okay, so once you're all the way to the side here, you're probably gonna have to switch camos because that camo works better than the other one. Also, you're gonna have to switch to black face paint because it fits better than the zombie. I thought the zombie would have the same effect, but it doesn't. So I got lucky. He's just standing right there, and now we're gonna snipe him. We're gonna use tactical reload to shoot him a bunch of times and just stay, like, you know, kind of have a good target on him and then stay steady with the aim. And now here, this is kind of luck. This is kind of skill. I don't know. I'm gonna go all the way to this side here, and I'm just gonna hope that he comes here, and he does drop there. So nice. So I don't know if he always does that. And now I missed one, but then I shoot all the other three. And there we go. And now this last one's a little weird, so I'm not sure if this is always going to work, but yeah, here we go. I'm just going to wait in this little corner of the room for him to show up. And oh yeah, you're also going to need this sniper rifle, which you get from the end if you beat him non-lethally. Now, to get his camo, you have to hold him up 3 times, but if you beat him non-lethally, you get the non-lethal sniper rifle here, which is very useful for a couple of these fights. No, for like quite a lot of these endgame fights, really. Like, if you do not have it, honestly, I don't think you're going to get far in this game. Like, no damage wise, but and there we go. That's a Fury. It was a pretty lucky attempt, but yeah, very nice. I don't know if he always does that or always takes that pattern. I think maybe a little bit of randomization there, but yeah, like that boss fight is one which doesn't really take your bullshit. You kind of have to approach him on his terms, but it's like a really good and interesting scenario. It's kind of like the Volgin Reagan fight from Metal Gear Solid 1, though I don't think it's as good as that fight, because the Volgin Reagan fight felt a little bit more open to experimentation, while here, like the Raven, like no, I keep calling him the Raven. He's the Fury. Like, on the Fury here, like, I don't know, the way he kind of flies around kind of weakens your ability, and also the way he can kind of spot you, and also his weapon of choice, the flamethrower, and how sometimes certain areas can like be on fire. And also, so yeah, I mentioned that in my previous sentence, the bats damage me. So yeah, the animals in this game, some of them can attack you, and the bats, if you get too close to them, they start damaging you, and I'm like, bro, man, come on. So that's why I missed the one swaggy attempt which I wanted to use. But you know, this attempt is really good. It's a pretty good time, very, very quick, and I don't know, it might be useful. Maybe that's like a good path to take when trying to take him down, but maybe he'll do a different pattern. I don't know, sometimes, I don't know. I'm not 100% for sure on how that fight works. Anyways, here we are in Groznygrad, and here, like, pretty much the strategy is just kind of run past everyone. They'll, you know, knock a guy out here and there, wait for a guy here and there. You know, like, sometimes you got to do that. But we are kind of getting back to more Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 type stuff with like these huge cover. I don't know if Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 had these kind of like areas. They're a little too big, though Metal Gear Solid 1 could kind of be like that, but just kind of these big empty kind of areas with a lot of buildings and stuff, like quite a bit of cover. Though, no, this is kind of more of a unique Snake Eater thing, to be honest. But yeah, like, camo doesn't really matter much, because crawling around the ground only gives you like, what, 75%, at most 80. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, I guess since I have the Splinter camo, I'm a little better off, but not by much, I'd say. So yeah, here I'm going to wait for that one guy way off in the corner to turn around, and here I'm going to switch to the fixed camera angle just because I think it looks cool. So yeah, the fixed camera angle, like, it can be hard to tell where things are. However, the advantage is it looks cool and like all cinematic and stuff. Like, look at that, like Snake's like little ant in like the whole system and all that. And also another advantage of the fixed camera angle is that you can kind of look around the area better sometimes, because now, like, the 3D camera is not exactly perfect. It's a little too close to Snake, so sometimes you don't get a full like view of your surroundings. So sometimes you'll use the fixed camera angle to kind of spot other enemies who are a little farther off in the area if like the camera's positioned well. And now here I'm equipping to pretty much capture the what's his name? The colonel, not the colonel, the major. Yeah, Major Raija. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but like, he has the face of Raiden, you know, whatever. Because they're making fun of him, because like back in the day, everyone hated Metal Gear Solid 2 because they're like, oh, Raiden, he girl, pissy poo poo, and you know, I mean, a lot of people spent a lot of time like not really getting what Metal Gear Solid 2 was going for. And to be fair, I'm not exactly smart. I'm not the smart person who figured that out. Figured out what Metal Gear Solid 2 was going for, but you know, whatever. That was just a period of time where people just hated Raiden for a bit unfairly, and like this game just kind of plays up the hate with Raiden. So yeah, but here, because here's Raiden. He's like a little girly man who gets his balls grabbed, whatever. You know, whatever, man. But yeah, the fastest strategy is to kind of wait by here, knock out that one guy who comes out, and then knock out this guy, and then pretty much drag his body all the way over here. However, a more safe strat, but one that takes a lot more time, is to just kind of wait in this room, or like the room like right next to this room, because this major will always show up to that area without any other guards around him, so you can kind of take him out safely there. However, he takes a bit of time getting there, so I don't know. This is a faster strat, but there's a little bit of risk involved, because like the door which opens when he like exits has scientists, and if the scientist sees you dragging a body out, then oh no, oh dear. So yeah, here, equip general outfit, equip the Raiden mask, and now we're going to move on to the pretty much section which is a little surprising. I'll talk about it when I get there. though. I will say the fixed camera angle makes this part look really smooth. I don't know, sometimes I kind of use the fixed camera angle because it kind of gives me Metal Gear Solid 2 and like 1 vibes, just with how smooth the camera transitions are. Because I don't know, if you're just using the 3D camera, it's like the movement there with like the windows and all that panning isn't as smooth. And also like for this section right here, like it really shows off like kind of the cool lighting. Look at that, it looks cool. And like the little framing there with like Snake in the window, like, you know, really nice stuff you can do with fixed camera angle, though it just kind of ruins certain other parts of the game, especially with this new gameplay system, so, you know, whatever.
The SHAGOHOG. A completed prototype.
So here, I believe, is one of the only unskippable cutscenes in the game. So yeah, you can't skip this cutscene, and also it's because you take damage during it. However, there's actually a way to avoid damage during this cutscene. So pretty much you can still like hold like your inventory buttons, you know, to cycle through your inventory. And pretty much the way you don't take damage during this section is when Volgin here starts torturing you, just keep like the inventory button held down the entire time, and you won't take any damage during the torture. So like it's a very nice trick. I like it quite a bit. However, you should keep in mind that holding the inventory button during this entire cutscene is not how you do it, because like, I don't know, I guess the way the Colonel's like dialogue is coded, like it's kind of done in chunks. So if you hold down the inventory button during one of his chunks, like, you know, it'll play out that chunk, but then like after that chunk is done, it's not gonna move on until you let go of that inventory button. So like there is like the final chunk of this like whole section is the torture part where you get like tortured, but if you start holding the inventory button during any other chunk, the game's just gonna stay there frozen because you're holding the inventory button. It's kind of like if you hold the inventory button during the game pauses. But if you do it on the final chunk, like the torture is going to happen and you don't take any damage. However, you have to keep an eye, like look at that. You have to kind of wait for him to, I forget exactly which line triggers it that you have to, which starts the torture. Let's see here. Maybe it's this line, the beautiful baby one. Yeah? No, it's this line. Once he says that, hold down the inventory button and never let it go, because if you let it go, even after he's done punching you, all the damage you occurred up to that point is gonna come back and hit you. So you pretty much have to hold down the inventory button until like the fade out into the cutscene. So once like it's cutscene time, you can let go of it and skip the cutscene and move on. So yeah. Like it's a little bit of a cumbersome thing to do, just hold that button for so long. Also, you don't exactly have to hold down L2, you can also hold down R2 if you want, but you know, your decision, whichever one's easier, whichever one is easier to not let go of. And yeah, like keep holding it because it's gonna fade out soon. There we go, now you can stop. So that is how you no damage the torture section in this game. This is probably like one of, I mean, in Metal Gear Solid 2, like the very first like button mashing thing you do, you can no damage, but the second one, goodness, you need to mash it super hard to no damage that, and I don't think it's possible, but maybe it is. I haven't seen many people do it. But yeah, here there's no button mashing to be done, thankfully. So here we're just gonna, there's a certain, so during the cutscene, which I just skipped, the Sorrow, he holds up a code you can call to pretty much open this cell door. So I'm just gonna wait for this Johnny here to walk by, and then I'm gonna call that codec number to pretty much open the cell doors and pretty much lead to my big epic escape. So yeah, this is pretty much the big escape sequence of like Snake Eater. So yeah, like this game's pacing is always doing stuff. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like, yo, the stairs. Like the stairs all the way at the end, that's such a great little pacing device. There's like a big slowdown after like kind of that long, somewhat exhausting like the end fight. I mean, in my video it's not that long, but normally, like, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, that fight can last quite a bit. So just kind of have that little cooldown where you're just climbing stairs, something pretty simple. You know, it's a really nice change of pace. So yeah, this is the big like prison escape sequence. You don't have any of your items. You're very naked. It's like one of the more challenging, like tough sequences of the game because you can't exactly manipulate the enemies that much. They're a little more threatening now. So here, I wait for that one guy to turn around, and then I hide behind behind these barrels here. And here I'm going to switch over to the like the 3D camera to see where these guys are, because I'm going to wait for this guy to turn to the left. And that's when I'm going to start running towards a little hole, which I'm going to crawl through. And yeah, I'll probably have to thank Source Spy for the strategy here, because I don't think I would have been able to come up with this on my own. Like, oh my goodness, this section would have been so challenging. So challenging. And here I'm adopting the camera angle just because I haven't really seen any other videos do it, and I think it's kind of aesthetically pleasing, so you know, might as well, since I'm also doing the no damage there. And here just kind of run to the left, but only with a fixed camera angle. I don't know, if you don't have a fixed camera angle, it might be a little hard to orient yourself like this, but yeah, for this part, all you have to do is pretty much run. Just run all the way to the door over here. And now here, keep running. I mean, the fixed camera angle kind of makes it hard to see, but yeah, just run all the way to the left here. And then hide behind this tank. There are 2 enemies over here. And we're going to wait for one of them, well, pretty much both of them to turn around, but one of them is going to turn around quicker than like the other one. So like the top one, I believe they are going to turn around. Or okay, there we go. They turned around. Cool. And now we're going to wait for this guy to turn on. Then we're going to approach him. We're going to do some CQC. However, since you're naked, you can't do the instant takedown. So instead, we're doing this combo. And hell, even your combo's been modified to be more useful. So yeah, pretty much just 2 of those, and that knocks him out. Just make sure that you land 6 hits, because it takes 6 hits to knock him down. Now wait for like that third guy here to kind of be looking away from you and run straight through this path. And I'm going to adopt a fixed camera angle because it's going to be pretty easy from here on out. There's a 4th guard here. We're going to knock him out with CQC. Again, boom. 6 shots. And by 6 shots, I mean like 6 little hits, and now we'll knock them out, stun them. And now we're going to run to pretty much our little escape point. We're not going to run on the metal grating the whole time because there's a dog right there, and we do not want to wake up the dog. We do not want to know what the dog is doing. So here, I'm fixed camera angle just because I think it's neat, and this reminds me a lot of the pipe section in Metal Gear Solid 2, just kind of a similar thing there. So yeah, there we go. And now from here on out, these next couple sections are going to be pretty easy until like the last final section. Though, if you don't know what you're doing, you can kind of be caught off guard, and then you'll like take damage, because there are 2 doggies here. And if you take the wrong path, you'll end up in like kind of a death room with one of the doggies, and you might take damage because like the doggie's chasing you. However, if you take the right path, you'll only be running away at the very end, and you'll have such a lead on them that it won't matter. Anyways, before you enter the Sorrow boss fight, remove those 2 things from you in the cure menu. Like, it's pretty much like after you get tortured, those 2 things get implanted into you. So just remove them, because if you don't remove them, it's gonna make like the little calm area after the Sorrow boss fight not calm at all. It's gonna have guards in there and stuff. So I'm trying to avoid that, so I can kind of just chill and like not use as many saves, because I mean, to be fair, like if I look at the way I recorded my videos, I can kind of like know when I saved or not, though I don't exactly remember like which points I saved and which points I didn't. Like on overall, I believe I used around 22, 23 saves. Like on my final results screen will tell the truth at the end of this video. But yeah, like I mean, keeping up, like trying to beat this entire game in 25 saves wasn't too bad, though I guess a few more saves would have been nice. I mean, the 80 from like the first Metal Gear Solid and like the Twin Snakes. So to be fair, with the very first Metal Gear Solid game, I did not do the big boss in that, but I did do big boss in the Twin Snakes. And those 80 saves sure came in handy. I didn't use 80 saves, but I used a lot more than 25. Well, quite a bit more than 25. Though, I mean, even like the 25 saves here is a lot more compared to the 8 saves you had in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like Metal Gear Solid 2 probably has the hardest like big boss rank to get, just because like 8 saves for that entire game. Are you kidding me? Like, oh my goodness. Like, I mean, some of those, there's like 8 boss fights, but there's more than 8 boss fights, and then there's certain encounters you're definitely going to want to save for, and it's just like, oh my goodness. So yeah, here I'm running away from the doggies, and now here's the Sorrow fight, which I'm going to take damage in this one by drowning myself. So like, you may be like, hey, why am I skipping the fight? Well, because like doing this fight normally, like at the very end when you touch his corpse, you take damage. So it's pretty much the same as this, except that if you actually go through this fight the entire way, you'll get his camo. But I decided to go for speed over doing the entire thing. So you just kind of drown yourself, revive yourself, and now we're in the kind of the calm area here. Kind of little time for rest, as long as you remove the transmitter before reaching this area. But if you didn't remove the transmitter, you get a little funny cutscene where like I don't know, Eve from Adam and Eve. So here I'm gonna try to knife this little froggy here, but it's not gonna work at all. But yeah, you'll get a funny little cutscene where Eve, she like kind of just straight up like pounds on Snake, like compounds, just straight up blasts him, dog. Like so yeah, funny little thing there. You think one thing is happening, but another thing's happening. Very cool, very nice. So yeah, but if you take the transmitter out, you don't get that cutscene, but you also don't get the Ocelot Unit here. And the Ocelot Unit is a lot more annoying on European Extreme because they have like special properties. Like I don't know, like other guards, like they'll have the green exclamation mark and then the red exclamation mark, while the Ocelot guards will just immediately have the red exclamation mark. So if you try to run up to them and like punch them, it's not gonna work because they're just gonna immediately see you and they'll immediately like signal game over. So yeah, you do not want that. I will say I am kind of running out of things to say, or at least like things to say on the fly. Just 'cause I don't know, like I said, maybe it's burnout with the commentary videos. I don't know. I mean, I am doing like just commentary video after commentary video on like for 3 hours on an entire game. Though I am not getting burnt out on playing these games or replaying these games because I do love replaying these games and do no damage. It's been pretty fun. It's just the commentary. It's like, ooh, you gotta say stuff, and it's gotta like matter to the video. Or, you know, I could talk about something off-topically, but I don't know. I don't really have any off-topic topics to mention when it comes to Metal Gear. Because Metal Gear is Metal Gear. So, yeah, here we are. And here's just kind of the build-up to the final... Well, no, the second final sneaking. You know, I keep saying the final, even though, like, there is that one final part we have to sneak past the soldiers and also, like, escort Eva through, like, the soldiers as well. So, yeah, here I'm just going to unequip the fork. And also, I'm going to, like, try to equip a bunch of stuff, but for some reason, like, some of the food items I have are also equipped there, because, like, when you're going through the prison section, there comes a point where, yeah, when you're going through the prison section, every item you pick up just immediately goes into the inventory to use. So it doesn't just go into your backpack, it just equips itself. So you don't have to go into the backpack menu and, like, equip it manually. It just automatically equips to your inventory. So yeah, here I'm going to get rid of the cigar. I never use the cigar because the cigar, it deals damage to you, and I do not want damage to happen to me, so I'm just not going to deal with that. And sadly, I will not be using the croc cap anymore. And oh yeah, there was another use for the croc cap, and it's kind of like as an aiming thing for grenades. I never like caught on how to use like the croc cap as a like aiming tool, but it could be an aiming tool on how to throw grenades, which could help in the pain fight, though it didn't help me that much, but it helped slightly. So yeah, that's another use for the croc cap, and also like for all the water sections. I mean, I didn't exactly use it for like the water sections where I was trying to sneak up on like those other water sections besides you know, the ones after the one in the straight river, like the ones where you're just kind of like a little bit of a water square and then you climb up to like, you know, planks and all that, like the docks. Like that part you can also use the croc cap, and it has uses there, but I instead tranquilized everyone, so I did not use the croc cap. But if you want to go for another strategy, you could do that. So anyways, this is the point where you lose all your food. So all the time I spent collecting Russian glow caps was completely pointless because the game's going to restrict me to only use 2. So, you know, sucks for me, man. But yeah. Here I just kind of, I don't know why I'm trying to equip more stuff. Oh, I'm equipping for the better cardboard box, even though I'm never going to use a cardboard box again. But, you know, the cardboard box is so iconic that, like, you know, I got to use it, man. I got to have it, like, at least available on me, you know, just in case, it's useful. But it really is not going to be useful. Because, like, this game, like, its stealth is a lot more varied, and there's just, like, a lot of other options when it comes to sneaking past enemies. So, yeah. So yeah, like the return to Grozny Grad, it's not going to get much more difficult than like our entrance into Grozny Grad. It's mostly just running past enemies and all that. I mean, like, it's kind of scary at first on first-time playthroughs because, like, there's a few things that show up that kind of throw you off guard. Like, not exactly in this area. I actually forget if I have to take that guy out. I don't think you need to. You could actually run through the area without taking that guy out, maybe. Oh yeah, there's like a lot of guys there, so I can kind of throw you off, but all you have to do is run all the way over here. I guess you did need to take that guy out, I don't know. But I mean, there's like, to be fair, with like Snake Eater, there's honestly like a ton of other strategies you could have taken because the game's like that open ended. Honestly, I'm a little curious if you can actually ghost Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, Metal Gear Solid 1, there's probably a way to do it, but Metal Gear Solid 2, I'm actually curious if it's possible. Like ghost it, you know, like not hurt anyone, like not take anyone out, you know, just walk past them pretty much. So yeah, kind of run past that area and then run all the way up to this guy, take him out, because the other guy's not going to be looking at you. So you don't really have to wait for that guy anymore, but do run all the way over here. And then once you run all the way over here, we're going to switch into our scientist outfit. Just got to blend in, though not for long, because we will be changing into our other outfit. Though it is kind of weird. We're a scientist with an eye patch now, though to be fair, the scientists will always question you even without the eye patch, because I guess you don't look like the guys they know. So yeah, a nice little gimmicky section here. And okay, to be fair, the next section I honestly maybe should have done it differently, because like on all the replays I did of this game, I never like got the maintenance outfit because I didn't know where it was. But now that I know where it was, it makes the next section a lot easier. Honestly, I should have approached it without getting the maintenance outfit, because honestly, this next section becomes a lot more fun if you don't get it. But I did get it just because, hey, it saves time, and also, you know, why not? We're here. Though I am going to waste a lot of time opening lockers to try to find the maintenance outfit. Like, oh, that locker opens, there's nothing in there. Might as well go to the right, but there's nothing to the right. Oh, what? Is it in the last one? Nope, not in the last one. We're going to have to go to the left here. Yep, it's in that one. The second locker right there. Boom, maintenance outfit. And now we're going to get the sneaking suit because it looks cool. Though I barely use it, but it is there, and it does look cool. And I guess it looks a little swaggy in certain boss fights, but I do kind of get rid of it for most of like this final like climax portion. So yeah, once you have this like maintenance outfit, the only people who are gonna like question you are maintenance workers. And for some reason, I do not have the C3 equipped. And I guess it's like sometimes there'll come parts in the game where like you'll have an item auto equipped. Like for certain boss fights, you'll start off with like your lethal pistol equipped, even if you don't want it equipped. So, and sometimes your inventory is like full or like maxed out, like 7 out of like 8 items or 8 out of 8 items. Like the thing they want you to like equip during that part will like replace something which you equipped manually. So I guess that's what happened with the C3 there. So it just, for some reason, they just kicked it out of my inventory. So I had to put it back in there. So yeah. This is going to be a very fast and succinct like little run through of this area, since we don't have to worry about enemy guards. So yeah, there's 4 tanks which have to be destroyed. And yeah, this final like room is a lot more of a challenge and more of like a fitting stealth finale if you don't use the maintenance outfit. But here we are, I'm using the maintenance outfit, so like whatever. Like yeah, I guess Snake Eater's like, since a lot of things are so optional, like maybe doing that optional stuff can add to a little more challenge and maybe a little more stealth enjoyment. You know, you can get a lot more mileage out of this game if you like, I don't know, play it a certain way. But to be fair, I don't know, saying that you played a game wrong isn't exactly very like good criticism, because I don't know, sometimes the reason some people play a game wrong is the way the game is designed or teaches you how to play the game doesn't really lead you to like make the kind of decisions to like play it in a fun way. So it's just kind of like like even if you played it wrong, it's not always your fault in that point, like in that sort of way, but sometimes it is. And you just suck at games, bro. You bad, you suck, okay? But yeah, whatever, we're here. I got all the tanks, and now we're gonna move on to the boss fight.
During the last great...
Now here's Volgin, and he's quite a bit of a doozy of a fight, though. I mean, he's like kind of complicated, but once you have a pattern down for him, he's not really all that much. So yeah, start the fight off with CQC, take him down a bit. I missed the 3rd shot, and if you have your weapon out, he can shoot electricity, which hones in on you. However, if you unequip your weapon, the electricity does not hone in on you. So pretty much just like, and now, like, this is what he's supposed to do normally after you do like the triple, like, tranquilizer shots, but he did it later, and that's cool. So yeah, equip a weapon to like kind of bait him into doing that attack, and then unequip the weapon so that the attack won't hone in on you, so you can dodge it and then CQC him while he's doing the attack. And now here, yeah, I'm gonna equip the weapon because I don't know. Trying to like bait out an attack while he's in his melee phase right there is not really going to work out. So instead just draw out the attack, which is always going to work. And then there's going to come a point where he's going to talk to Ocelot. That's another free CQC grab, and also boom, more tranquilizer darts. So yeah, first phase done. Second phase, it's going to get a lot harder because he gets a few more counters and also a couple more moves which complicate things. So here I'm going to lay down and I'm going to equip the Russian glow caps. I decided to do it at this point of the battle and not at the very beginning, because at the very beginning I had to I was in a bit of a rush to kind of knock him down on his ass. So yeah, this is what the Russian glow caps are for. Gonna throw out a few here, but I'm gonna delay my throwing of these a little bit just so that this attack doesn't get absorbed. Like just so that the mushrooms don't absorb his first attack. And then after that, most of the time he'll start off with this machine gun attack. And when he does the machine gun attack, you're gonna want a lot of distance. It's kind of like the same way you handle the tanks in Metal Gear Solid 1, the Twin Snakes. Just kind of a lot of distance and move all the way to the right there. And then once he finishes like his first like machine gun attack, you could get a drop on him with like one tranquilizer dart attack, though it is a very fast timing. And then for the second one, a little bit more of a generous timing. You'll probably get 2 shots to do it. And now, pretty much so when he does that big like bullet attack, he'll do a little like jump back after he's done with it. Attack him after he does the jump back, because if you try to CQC him immediately, he's just gonna jump back and you're not gonna do any CQC to him. You're not gonna do any CQC to him, and he's just gonna counter you. And then like now the mushrooms are really useful, because now when he does like those big electricity attacks, which you can bait out with the pistol, he shoots 2 like darts. He shoots like 2 lightning rods at you. And that complicates things a lot. There is a way to deal with it without using the mushrooms, but the mushrooms make it a lot more palatable. And then after that, he's going to spend most of the fight in kind of a melee phase. And this time, he does have really good openings during his melee phase. Like, there's that one big, like, huge bullet punch he does, which, like, is really useful to bait out. Like, I don't know if he's going to do it again, but... Oh, no, and then there's that funny attack there, which I got really lucky that didn't damage me. And sometimes he'll just be open like that. And it's really nice. And also, I'm not doing the tranquilizer gun thing anymore because he has faster reactions than he did in the first phase. So instead of doing the tranquilizer thing, I instead knock him down to the ground and roll over him to deal that nice non-lethal damage. Very nice. And then at one point, I used like the fake death pill just to get an extra hit on him, which is very nice. Because, well, after the torture section, you get an extra death pill. I don't know. You only have 1 death pill, so you can only use it once, and I use it at the fear. So I ran out of death pills, but now I have an extra death pill, and I used it for Volgin, because frankly, it's not going to work for any other fight. Cause the boss like knows about the death pill, so she's gonna go like, "What are you, stupid? I'm just gonna kill you for real this time," and like she'll proceed to do that. So that was pretty much like the last good time to use a death pill, and it was for like a little trolling there. So very nice. And now here we enter the action set piece portion where I take damage. Now, is it force damage? I'm not 100% sure, because this camo I just got for taking down Volgin non-lethally, it's a very particular camo, because like, okay, so it has like, you know, Russia on the front, Soviet Union on the front, America on the back. So as long as you're facing enemies from the front, they're not gonna attack you. However, sometimes with the way like Eva controls like this thing, like her little motorcycle here, sometimes you'll be like at diagonals of enemies. Sometimes there'll be one enemy on your left, one enemy on your right. So it's really hard to like always be facing forward to an enemy all the time. Though it does help quite a bit to minimize damage. I'm not sure if it's possible to take no damage. I would have to see someone else do it, because I can't, frankly. And now here is where the fixed camera angles have like their biggest advantage, because if you play this with just 3D camera angles, this whole sequence is going to look so like, you know, whatever. But with the fixed camera angles, there's all these like deliberate like moments and like cool stuff. Look at that. It's like, look at these angles, look at the cuts, look at that. Like, it's, you know, a movie. Like Kojima really wants to make a movie, and he's doing it right now. He's doing it. So yeah, this little climax here was like the little rail shooter section. It's pretty cool, though I don't think I like it more than like the climax of Metal Gear Solid 2 with like, you know, just everything falling apart, you know, like you going full ninja mode. Like this, I don't really like it as much. And I mean, there's like other reasons I don't like it as much, but it is still a pretty good like climax to the game. You know, nice build up, you know, nice little action set piece, which takes advantage of the fact that moving and shooting at the same time isn't exactly this game's strongest suit. So instead, you're kind of put into a railgun position. So, you know, nice. And to do this non-lethally, just kind of spam the non-lethal bullets. And to be fair, with this Cold War camo, you don't really need to do too much shooting, just kind of dedicated shooting at a few points here and there. And since you're wearing the Cold War camo, they're not going to attack you. So, yeah, I really like how this game rewards non-lethal play. I mean, it's something which Metal Gear has been developing throughout pretty much its entire course of this series. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 1, there's no avoiding killing people. You're gonna kill people. But then you come to Metal Gear Solid 2 and boom, you now have non-lethal options. And you know, like, non-lethal options are pretty much necessary to get the better ranks in the game. But you know, I mean, not everyone cares about ranks. I mean, ranks is just like one cosmetic thing. So, you know, whatever. Alright, cool. So now we have more of a reason to do like non-lethal runs. You have like direct gameplay advantages for playing non-lethal. I mean, one is if you kill people, the sorrow fight's going to be a lot longer. Though, to be fair, even if you kill people, I'm pretty sure you can just avoid it by drowning yourself. So, like, even if you kill people, the sorrow's not going to matter much. But like in this part right here, and also with just all the other camos in the game, defeat the boss fights non-lethally, and then boom, you have advantages. The animal camo, your aiming's never going to get like unsteady, even if you're hungry. The spider camo, you have like 80% ammo, even if you're standing up, and like 80 and 70% ammo, even if you're running. 70% camo, even if you're running. And well, the hornet camo is good for the bees, but the bees barely show up, so it's like, eh, whatever. And the fire camo, I don't really know what it does. The spirit camo, which I did not pick up, allows you to walk silently. So even if you're running it straight at an enemy, you will be silent. I did not pick up that camo, sadly, and honestly, I kind of wish I did, because it probably would have made the final boss fight easier. You know, whatever. I mean, I already know damage to the final boss. It was insanely hard. I'll get to that when I get to that, but yeah, now you have more reason to do that. You know, it's like nice. As for other reasons to do it, honestly, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's more of a complication. Like, I mean, Snake Eater's taking a lot more valiant attempts to make non-lethal play more pretty much fun, and also like, what's the word? Incentivized. Though that's another thing. Playing non-lethally, I say, is more fun. I mean, just kind of trying to like get past enemies without killing them, or like messing around with their stun patterns, just like putting them or like holding them up while they're on the ground so that they never move again. Stuff like that is more fun than just straight up slitting their throat. So it's just like nice. Like, there's just so many options for non-lethal play. Then why not do non-lethal play? And also, certain boss fights, I'd actually argue, are easier non-lethally. Like Ocelot, like, he's actually a bit harder to kill with just like a lethal playthrough. I mean, if you're trying to do no damage. If you are okay with taking damage, then you can just equip the Patriot on New Game Plus, and that fight becomes easy. But no damage, now that's where the challenge is with lethality. Is that even a word? I don't know. But yeah. Because, like, I don't know, like, you don't, like, the grenades, like, they don't really do the same effect that the stun grenades do. The stun grenades do, they add more damage, but they also have, like, open Ocelot more to, like, another shot of the tranquilizer gun. So, like, it's just, like, the routing for, like, the Ocelot fight for non-lethal play is, like, a lot easier than, like, trying to kill him lethally. And I was considering killing him lethally, because I didn't really care much for the animal, like, camo, but, you know, at some point, I'm like, playing this lethally is easier. And also, all the videos I've seen of people no damaging the Ocelot fight are all non-lethal. So I haven't really seen a good strategy for like taking them out lethally. So yeah, here I'm just taking out these motorcycles here, and it's just nice big spectacle. And yeah, so I don't know, when you're not aiming and shooting, I recommend sticking with the fixed camera angle just for that nice cinematic flair. Because like playing this fight, like look at that looks awesome, but like if you switch to the 3D camera, it's so static and boring. Like, nah man, look at that. Look at that, just awesome. Like the production values here are just immense, though the gameplay here is a little bit, whatever. But it's kind of a nice little like climax to all the slower sneaking you've been doing all this time. So now, boom, big epic moment. And I mean, don't worry, the sneaking is not exactly over. There's still a little bit more of it to do. And now here we're gonna get our first look at the SHAGOHOG, and it's also like I believe our first chance to damage it. Though it is kind of slow damage, you can damage it though. Honestly, if I was trying to damage it, I should have taken a better strategy than what I did here. I was mostly just trying to slow it down. But you can deal a lot more damage to it than I do, so like you can make the next boss fight easier. But I failed at it. So yeah, here I'm at, I mean, I mentioned that this is the part where I take damage, and I have been taking damage throughout the whole previous railgun section, but at this point in particular, I am not taking damage. So, because like, it's kind of like, it's already, the SHAGOHOG boss fight has already started, I say. So yeah, I'm not taking damage here. I'm gonna be proud of that, okay? Alright, so yeah, pretty much the strategy here is just kind of, man, shoot his treads. Tactical reload, tactical thing, just shoot the treads, man. You do not want him to grind you into dust. As long as you keep shooting those treads on that big SHAGOHOG machine. You should be fine, but be attentive though, because sometimes he'll shoot missiles, and like the AK is good for shooting missiles down. And yeah, just like watch out for missiles, watch out for grinding into dust for this section in particular. And like, I mean, you could do a more accurate aim with the RPG, but it kind of messes up like my tactical reload spam. So here I'm just kind of winging it, kind of aiming from the hip with an RPG. So yeah, here we are. Sometimes he says fire and then he doesn't do anything, and I'm kind of glad for that, but it also puts me like in a very tense mood. Like, oh, where is it? Where's the missile? Did I miss a missile? Like, oh, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. So here we have the sniper section, which isn't too hard. However, I failed it once, and thankfully, remember that part I said where I didn't take damage when the SHAGOHOG was chasing me? I actually put a save right there because I was worried that I would fail the sniping part. And honestly, I think one reason I failed the sniping part is because I forgot how to zoom in. The way you zoom in, I believe, is with triangle. So like you pretty much tap triangle to zoom in farther, and I just forgot how to do it. So here I'm just kind of winging it with like the least zoomed in scope. So that's probably why I failed it the first time. But even then, with the least zoomed in scope, it's not too hard. Though there are 4 bombs. So you have to shoot bomb there, the bomb that's swinging on the pipe there. And then you leave like the last bomb, like that one, for last, because that's like the easiest one to hit. Because if you leave like the swinging bomb for last, goodness help you. So here we go. We have the SHAGOHOG, and I gotta say this fight is pretty disappointing compared to like the previous games Metal Gear like fights, like the big robot fights. Because like something about it's just way too automated. Like it's just kind of like, alright, Eva handles all the driving, so pretty much all you have to do is just shoot the treads, you know, to kind of stun them, and then, you know, you'll go behind them and you'll shoot the back of there, you know, shoot his weak point, and that's pretty much it. Like, there's not much more to it. Like, I mean, sometimes he'll shoot some missiles, which you have to watch out for, you know, kind of take out with the AK, but beyond that, this is the fight, and it's pretty meh. Like, compare this to like Metal Gear Solid 1. You're like constantly walking around. You have to stay close to like Metal Gear Rex, because if you stray too far, the missiles will hit you. You have to be really quick when getting openings. It's just like, but here it's just like shoot the treads so that he's stunned, and then you'll get behind him, and it's like, okay. And then like this is I mean, and also this is nothing compared to like the Metal Gear raid fights in like Metal Gear Solid 2. Like what, like 10, 20 different raids? I mean, to be fair, that fight's a little too insane for its own good. Like I wouldn't exactly want something that crazy, but like, I mean, man, like that fight was so insane. I mean, this is like barely anything. This is just like, bruh, come on. And to be fair, I guess timeline-wise, they can't exactly do anything too crazy with the robots. I mean, to have like a robot that's like more advanced than like the Metal Gear Rex or Metal Gear Ray would be a little weird timeline-wise. Though, to be fair, Peace Walker did not care and made way more advanced robots, despite taking place decades before Metal Gear Rex was even like completed. So, you know. Though, to be fair, I guess that's just one reason why I wasn't vibing with Peace Walker as much as Snake Eater. I guess that's like another reason why I don't think Peace Walker works as well as a prequel game as Snake Eater does. Though, I guess it's just that, man. Okay, so when it comes to like the big boss prequel games, like story-wise, like I can't really vibe with the future ones like I do with Snake Eater, because like Snake Eater had like a really good goal to tell, and it completed it. Like it's a standalone story. Like, okay, we don't know who Big Boss is, and then here we figure out who he is, we figure out his whole deal and like why he became Big Boss, and also more telling like what could have led him down the path of villainy, which like he went down in like the previous games. Well, I mean, the future games timeline wise, but like release order wise, you know, like why is this guy evil? And like this game's like explanation's perfect. Like, yo, like his country betrayed him, it killed like his mentor. Like, yo, I can vibe with that. But then like these future games just add like I don't know, just more like little details which don't really matter much in the grand scheme of things. I don't know, Portable Ops had to give like some weird excuse like, oh, here's an evil guy who actually planned the entire operation. Like I needed to know that. Though, to be fair, I shouldn't be talking too badly about Portable Ops, because Peace Walker does the same twist but worse. It's just like, oh, here's this cartoon asshole who planned the whole thing all along. It was him, actually. Like, I'd say Portable Ops actually handled that twist a little better. Like, there's a couple things which Portable Ops did better, though. As a game, I'm still gonna have to go with Peace Walker, just because, like, I don't know. Man, playing Portable Ops on an original like PSP. To be fair, I did not play it on an original PSP. I played it on the Vita, but even with the Vita's enhancements with like the second control stick, it was still such a clunky game to control. It's like Snake Eater animations at 20 FPS, maybe even lower, which like with an even shittier camera, and it's just like, and also like just with like less reliable camo. It's just like, oh come on, man, come on. Peace Walker, like, I mean, it doesn't control like the best on PSP, but it feels way more designed to PSP. It feels like a much smoother game, even playing it on the Vita. Even like with it running at 20 FPS, it feels smoother than like Portable Ops, just because I went into the new animations and all that. So anyways, here is the second Volgin fight, and it's pretty simple. Just like pretty much keep shooting the treads to stun him, and then once he's like stunned from the treads, you then, I don't know, sometimes I shoot the treads and like nothing happens, and I don't know why that is. He just bounces. Why? What's the point of that? I'm shooting the treads. He should be stunned. Like, am I not supposed to shoot the treads? Like, just a weird inconsistency there. And then here I'm gonna aim at the head with a non-lethal sniper rifle and get him there. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the non-lethal sniper rifle is that you don't want to go into the scope mode immediately. You kind of want to like align the hip fire mode where it's kind of aligned with his head, and then you go into the scope mode, because if you go into the scope mode immediately, you're gonna have to do this long crawl all the way up to his body, and during that time, your chance to shoot him goes away. So instead, aim like from hip fire up, because like aiming from hip fire is faster than aiming in the scope. And then once you're kind of aligned with his head, it'll be quicker to like kind of aim at his head and shoot him. So that's just a little advice from me, because I was struggling with that the first time I was fighting him. So yeah, for his first two like segments of his like stamina bar, you can just keep shooting the treads and stand still, and then like just kind of take your non-lethal headshot. But then once we reach like his like third stamina bar, he's gonna start getting a little more aggressive with us, and we're gonna have to be a little careful, kind of wait for like to get an opening, wait for him to do an attack, and then kind of shoot there, wait to stun him into. And as you saw, I actually missed one of my attacks, and there that one RPG I shot didn't actually stun him, and I actually ran out of RPG ammo, because now you have ammo counts. Now it's not infinite like the previous fight. So thankfully, if you run out of ammo for any weapon, Eve will actually come by and replenish your ammo. So, very helpful of her, though it will complicate the fight a little bit. But here we are. Now I have a couple more RPG rounds, and it doesn't stun. What am I doing wrong? That should have stunned him. That's ridiculous. And now, okay, I stunned him, and now I have to be really quick on the draw here. I can't move. Boom, headshot. Now I'm just gonna wait for him to do an attack, because it's gonna be a little weird to just stand still, because he can do stuff like that. It's like, no, get out of here. But yeah, once, I don't know, like these machine gun attacks, like this one attack in particular is kind of weak, honestly. Like it's been like, it honestly doesn't really hit me at all. So yeah, I mean, good for me, because now I can land that perfect headshot, and boom, that fight is over. And now we're going to move on to the next section where I take damage, because it's another railgun section where there'll be enemies on my left or sometimes on my right, and I can't face all of them at the same time, and I'm not good enough to take them all out immediately. So unless someone has no damage this section, I'm just going to be proud in the fact that even though I took damage in this section, I'm alive, okay? I'm alive, man. I'm alive! Also, I'll take pride in the fact that at the results screen at the end of this video, it says that I lost 0 health bars, so that might as well be no damage. So anyways, here, look at these fixed camera angles. Look at this, looks sick. And if you play with a 3D camera, it looks bad. So I guess it's like, I guess this is why Kojima like started the game off using fixed camera angles. But honestly, it was a pretty good idea to also have an option to have like 3D camera, because this game really was calling for a 3D camera, because without it, I don't think it's as good. Like, it's a lot more enjoyable with a 3D camera, I'd say. I don't really have much to say about these like railgun sections, just because like I aim and shoot at the thing, and also my Cold War amp like camo pretty much takes care of any other damage I might have taken. I mean, I'm still gonna take damage at one point, because some of these sections get a little tricky with enemy placements, but it's pretty much just aim and shoot. I'm not particularly the best at aiming and shooting, but that's pretty much all this is. So I guess I might as well get to talking about why I'm not a big fan of like the Big Boss prequel trilogy per se. I don't know, just because like, I mean, everything which like the future prequel games would talk about is just stuff you could have inferred from Snake Eater. Like, they don't really bring up new information, which like recontextualizes important stuff from like the next couple of games. Because it's like, what was Peace Walker about exactly? Oh, he's still attached to the boss. Like that whole arc, I'm just not vibing with it. I'm also not vibing with like some of the stuff which happens in Peace Walker, which I guess I'll talk about more if I ever do a Peace Walker video. And then there's some other stuff from Peace Walker, because like, okay, Metal Gear Solid 4 has a big twist, which is nonsense, and I guess I'll discuss it more in the Metal Gear Solid 4 video. But then the prequel games try to make that twist more natural, but then like some of the stuff they do is they just take dialogue from Metal Gear Solid 4 and then just repeat it in Peace Walker. Like, wow, it's like this epic, like, you know, series. They were talking about it from the very beginning, but no, it's just you just took a line from Metal Gear Solid 4 and put it into Peace Walker. Like, I just feel that's so like lame and like contrived. Yeah, that's another thing. Peace Walker especially just feels so contrived. Like characters like Huey, for example. Like, okay, Otacon's stepdad, which was mentioned in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like, okay, so he's just some guy, but he was also a guy who looks exactly like Otacon, talks exactly like Otacon, and also works with a man who looks exactly like Solid Snake. I mean, I understand why Big Boss looks exactly like Solid Snake, but it's just like, okay, so Solid Snake and Otacon's meeting wasn't just like a random chance thing. No, it was actually this big destiny thing where, like, you know, Big Boss and like Huey did the same thing. They also fought giant robots, and it's like, really? Really? Like, I hate Huey and Peace Walker because he's just like the most contrived like prequel bullshit. While in The Phantom Pain, I hate him for more understandable reasons because his character kind of shifts. Though I do kind of appreciate the character shift because it makes him a little bit like less like Otacon. But still, like, come on, like I mean, it's not like the worst idea in the world to make Huey the same, like almost the same as Otacon, because like, I don't know. Like Solid Snake and like Otacon's relationship is kind of like, you know, two dudes who are like the complete opposites but are kind of put in the same situation and kind of come to like bond as like great friends over that, you know, like being like, you know, I talked about it in my Metal Gear Solid 1 video. I do really like Otacon as a character, but I guess like with Huey and like Big Boss, they're kind of like going for more of a different dynamic, and it kind of reflects well against Solid Snake and Otacon, but it's so fucking contrived. I guess I'll talk about it more in a Peace Walker video, but yeah, I just can't stand that. It's like, we did not need to have like Snake and Otacon's relationship be this more epic thing. It was perfectly fine being like this like kind of random chance thing where it's just like they just met and that's just how it is. We didn't need this whole fucking backstory with Huey and Big Boss. Like, Huey didn't need to have more screen time. It's just like, it was just unnecessary, really. And as for The Phantom Pain, well, that's just a whole heap of other things, but also not just prequel stuff. It's just like, it's not just that like they're unnecessary, it's that the stories they're trying to tell aren't that good. Like, and that's like, I guess that's the main issue with them, besides them just being unnecessary and adding nothing which we didn't already infer from Snake Eater, and having it spelled out even more. It just feels like we're being spoon-fed Big Boss's villainy, much less than like experiencing something like an engaging descent, really. That's not to say they don't do anything cool, like extra stuff with Big Boss, but I guess I'll get into that more in future videos. But it's just like, yeah, the stories being told here just aren't that good. Like, Snake Eater's story is like really like engaging, like a campy fun thing, while the future games, I mean, they have some camp fun stuff in them, but they also are really fucking annoying and have a lot of really dumb plot points I can't really stand. Like, Metal Gear Solid is dumb. Like, it has some dumb things in them, but also like there are still like pretty like serious stories with like emotional payoffs and all that, and like those are the moments which like the future games fuck up. So it's just like, that's why they don't really stand well with me. So yeah. And also, like, Metal Gear Solid 4 is kind of like being this big epic finale kind of makes those future games pretty pointless too. But I guess they can kind of exist as fun games, and they are fun games, though they have issues there too, but I'll get to those issues when I get to those games. And that pretty much ends the Railgun section, which, well, I just kind of complained about games, which I haven't made videos about yet. But yeah, we'll get there when we get there. Though I have made a review on the Phantom Pain, though. It's a 2-minute review, and I don't know, with these type of videos, what, 3 hours? Like, I could make a much better review of the Phantom Pain now, but there's no point to it. There's so many other videos I like cover the Phantom Pain critically, negatively, and positively. Like, I'm not really gonna add much to it, and I'm gonna have a lot of commentary in a Phantom Pain like no damage video, so I might as well just save it for that, you know. So yeah, here mandatory damage again. Though to be fair, I've been taking damage before all of this, but here is some mandatory damage because you have to cure yourself. And you know, if you care about Eve, she also took some mandatory damage. And well, the good thing about taking no damage for a majority of the video is that you're never gonna run out of like these supplies here. So I mean, like there's like certain supplies you have to use and certain supplies which won't work, but you can just kind of spam all of them and see what works for like the mandatory damage sequences, and you'll be perfectly fine. So yeah, now here we're in a little bit of a safe spot. I mean, that whole big railgun sequence kind of was very actiony, though we're not exactly out of the woods yet. We're in the woods. We're in the woods. So yeah, the Cold War camo is not going to fly anymore. I'm going to have to switch it. And here we have a lot of ammo for a lot of different weapons, though I forget. Like, okay, so all the ammo which appears here, is it for all the weapons you have in your inventory equipped right now, or is it just for every weapon you own? I wonder, because I saw some ammo like pick up for like the cigar gas spray, so that's a little weird. But yeah, like my review of the Phantom Pain, like I mean, it's so broad in general, and it's the very first video on this channel, so that's how I started out. You know, humble beginnings, as they say. But yeah, I don't know, like I've talked about it in previous commentary videos, but I had a much more ambitious video planned out where I would compare Phantom Pain to Snake Eater, kind of compare like their gameplay loops, like their stories and all that. And it probably would have still been a bit of an antiquated video and probably not gone into things like as in-depth as I would have wanted to. It would have been a lot more than what I did with the Phantom, because I kind of just got tired of writing the script or like trying to voice the script of that like Snake Eater versus the Phantom Pain video. I decided that I'm going to take the main points and complaints of like my Phantom, of like what I have against the Phantom Pain, and just put them on flashcards and then just kind of go from there. So that's how that Phantom Pain video came about. And then I grew this channel to be very successful. Yes. Here we go. Here we have some action gameplay. And what we're gonna, stealth gameplay, kind of the final stretches of stealth gameplay. Though to be fair, the next boss fight you can definitely incorporate some stealth, though I don't incorporate it too much. So yeah, here we're gonna hide behind this log and wait out these guys which are gonna come by. So there's not much more to say. I'm just gonna wait these guys out, and thankfully Eve here is gonna come by and help out. So yeah. I believe that is all of them. Maybe. Okay, so I don't know, one weird thing about this section is I'm a little unsure about this, but I'm actually curious if like Eva is like, I don't know, if enemies can see her or not depends on how camouflaged you are. I don't know, like does she have the same camo index which Snake has? I honestly don't know, because I mean I used to think that, because I don't know, it was kind of convenient with the way I was sneaking around and how Eva was kind of like out in the open but still not getting caught. But then on replays, like in the beginning section, I kept getting caught even though I was like fully camouflaged. I don't know, if someone could confirm that in the comments, that'd be like really nice, because I don't know, I mean if like your camo index does affect how visible like Eva is, then that would be pretty cool. But if it doesn't, then shame. But yeah, the strategy is wait for those guys, and then those guys are pretty much all gonna group up in the next area over there like pretty soon. And pretty much once they're all grouped up, I'm just going to pick them off one by one with the tranquilizer, though I am not that successful at doing that. I miss a lot of shots, which means I have very little ammo for the next section. But I was able to find another way to tackle the next section, which didn't require taking everyone out, because the next section really didn't require me to do that. But that's because well, you'll see what I mean when I get to that next section. But yeah, this is pretty much just kind of point and shoot, and I did not point and shoot that well at these people. So yeah, here we're just going back to the menu to change camo and all that.
What's wrong?
Bro, I just missed those 2 shots straight up and out enemies. Oh, and look at this weird thing they do. I guess when they're like, they have a red exclamation mark again, which doesn't mean they fully saw you, but now they're way more alert and they're going to start bum rushing your position. And, oh, and then I shot, there we go. I shot 1 shot loud, and I guess it alerted him to start running at me. But I guess even if I shoot him with the tranquilizer darts, he's still going to stop and have a green exclamation point. I don't know, sometimes if an enemy's like too alerted, even if you shoot a tranquilizer dart like straight at them, they're not going to like have a pause. They're just going to keep moving forward towards you. So that's like, I don't know, just a weird little inconsistency. It's not an inconsistency, it's just part of the design. If an enemy's more alerted, like they're not just going to pause every time they get shot with a tranquilizer dart like they would if you're just sneaking on them normally. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, but is true though, during the on-rail section, I believe that like the enemies like will go down from a tranquilized dart like just once. So if you hit them at any point in the body, they'll just immediately go down during that whole like on rails like shooting sequence, except for the guys on the motorcycle. I swear, like I've hit them once and then it takes a while for them to fall off their bike. So those guys, I guess they really do want you to get a headshot for. And also, I'm just getting a few bit of food here for Eva, because Eva gets really hungry here. And oh, this dude saw me, but I'm just gonna take it a little slow now, crawling slow, so that he kind of ignores me. So yeah, this is the second area, and in this area, you don't really want to take out all the enemies. It's like the next part of this area that's gonna be a little bit more troublesome. You're gonna have to start taking out more people, but you can still not take everyone out as long as you sneak, do a lot of good sneaking. And there's that little puddle there, which kind of ruins my entire camo like my little camo percentage. But thankfully, no one was looking straight at me when my percentage went all the way down. So we're sneaking pretty well here. So yeah, I mean, menus can be annoying, but at the very least, they are instantaneous. So like, I mean, like I don't know, like the second you enter that puddle, you can immediately go into the menu and switch to like something more appropriate. Like the way Metal Gear Solid 4 fixed it is amazing, and it kind of leads to more on-the-fly gameplay where you don't have to enter menus to switch between camo, but it takes a longer time. So when you're switching between like different surfaces and like your camo index goes way down and an enemy's like right next to you, like it takes a much longer time to actually switch to like the appropriate camo. So like what might have taken like maybe 1 or 2 seconds now maybe takes like maybe 4 or 5 seconds, and like in that like extra period of time means you're more likely to get caught by enemies if like you're cutting it really close. So that's like one thing which kind of is a bit of a drawback, though to be fair, you could register camos in Metal Gear Solid 4. So if you register the right camo for the right occasion, you could still switch between menu stuff, but like at that point it's kind of like, bro, well, what's the point of the improvement then? Like, I mean, I do kind of prefer the way Metal Gear Solid 4 handles it overall, but like, it's like one advantage of like Snake Eater's menu based like camo stuff. It's instantaneous. And here I'm gonna keep feeding Eva, and yeah, that's Eva. I'm gonna keep feeding her snakes. Snakes are awesome. This game's called Snake Eater. We are actually eating snakes in the game called Snake Eater. Well, actually, have I ever eaten a snake throughout this entire walkthrough? I don't know. I think I've only Eva's eaten snakes. She's the Snake Eater. Snake's not even a Snake Eater in this game. What? All he's been eating is calorie mates and like ramen. And then listening to the radio, bro, like, oh my goodness. So yeah, this section here, I'm going to adopt a spider camo, because I'm going to adopt a little bit more of a daring strategy per se. And by daring, I mean I'm going to stand up here and tranquilize a lot of the close opponents, mostly just this one guy laying down here. Like, there's this one mission in Peace Walker which kind of has this same kind of setup where it's just a bunch of guys like hidden away from you, standing still in like sniping positions. And it's like, if you first play Peace Walker, you might be like, oh, that's a really neat set piece. Or if you haven't played like Snake Eater in a long while, it might be like, oh, that's a really neat set piece. But it was kind of taken from Snake Eater over here. So, I mean, it's a neat little callback. I do like it. But it's like, hey, here's that scenario, but in Snake Eater. Very nice, very nice. So, yeah. And now I'm just gonna, now that I took out the one guy who would kind of alert people if like Eva dropped down, I got rid of them. And yeah, though now I believe Eva's gonna be very troublesome in trying to get down for some reason. Like, she's gonna be like, where did you go, Snake? I lost you. But now here I'm gonna listen to some music to heal up. I hope this song isn't copyrighted.
your face. I feel your sadness. I feel your pain inside of me.
Oh man, it's kind of a crime that I stopped the song, but can't let this video run on too long. We're on a time limit here. And yeah, look at that. He was just like, where did you go? Like, oh my goodness, bro. That's me when I stopped the song too early. Like, where did you go? Where are you going? So yeah, now here I gotta stand up and, like, you know, have a lower camo index just so that she can get down here, because she lost me. Because oh my god, oh, we got hostiles. Yeah, get down, get over here. Oh, we're so close to the end of the game, but don't waste my time like this. Come on. Come on, yeah, now I have to do that hand signal. It's like, there we go, finally. What's wrong with you? Let's go. And she's gonna lose sight of me again. What is wrong with you? I'm literally right in front of you. What's wrong with you? Get over here. Ah, what is this AI? Though thankfully this, like, this, at least this didn't screw me up too much in this section. But like, bro, if I was put into a more annoying scenario like this, come on, man. Like, this is, I still do consider this a bit more of an engaging set, like, escort mission set piece than the one in Metal Gear Solid 2. Like, I mean, I don't know, I guess just Snake Eater's stealth is just more open and allows for more, like, I guess, creativity with, like, this kind of stuff. While the one in Metal Gear Solid 2, like, any challenges that came up were kind of put in a linear fashion. Well, this is still pretty linear, but, like, there's a little bit more going on, I'd say. A little bit more going on. A little more going on with the approaches you can take. So now here, I'm going to do something a little crazy. I'm going to shoot that guy with the tranquilizer, but I'm gonna keep holding him up until he passes out. I don't know. I do not want to shoot him with a second tranquilizer bullet. I don't know if I'm gonna need the tranquilizer in the next, like, boss fight, and I'm gonna spoil it right now. I never needed it, but you know, it's nice to conserve ammo, even though I'm not gonna use this weapon again. But it was also kind of funny just holding him up until he passes out. So yeah, there's that. I kind of wish there was a way to make him drop down and lay on his face, like you can in, like, Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain. Those are very nice additions. Like them quite a bit. And technically you can do it. Oh no, but Peace Walker got rid of crawling. I'll get to that when I get to that game. But yeah. I actually forget if you can do this. If you can, like, hold people up on the ground in Metal Gear Solid 4. I don't know. I don't remember ever doing it, but you could probably do it. I don't know. You have all your little CQC things except for interrogating people, but there was, like, a lower reason for that, and I guess I'll get to that when I get to that. Now, my stamina bar is still not full, so I'm going to go listen to another song, but I'm really not going to let it play out for too long. At least I don't think I'm going to let it play out for too long. Let's see what happens here. Wow. Okay. Just inputting the little frequency there, and I skip it immediately. Wow, classy. And yeah, here we go. We're about to reach the boss, which is the final part of the game. So let's go here. And here I'm kind of setting up the camouflage to be better for that scenario, though the cutscene which happens after the boss fight is going to look pretty goofy with, like, these clothes, but you know, whatever. I mean, maybe not too goofy. I don't know. I'll let y'all be the judge of that. But yeah, I don't have any camo at this moment, so if an enemy saw me, I am absolutely screwed. But, you know, Eva was so close that didn't really matter. So yeah, here we go to the final boss fight. The boss fight.
Then, let's see what you're made of.
So pretty much the key to success here is learn the timings to, like, countering her CQC grabs. And then shoot her with a tranquilizer, shoot her with, like, the rifle, then knock her down, then shoot her with the rifle again, and then hide behind a tree, like, kind of wait for her to shoot a bit, and then run away. When she's running away, follow after her and trigger her, like, you know, here I come, Snake. Repeat that a couple times, and that's pretty much how you win. But you have to learn the timings to counter her every time she does that whole little CQC thing. Like, I don't know, George is the man when it comes to this, because, like, his video on how to defeat the boss fights easier is how I kind of learned the timings for this stuff. Pretty much, like, I don't know how he explains it. It's pretty much you have to press, like, the punch button, like the very second you hear Snake grunt, like when she approaches you and all that. Like, he'll do a little grunt, like like when he, like, the very minute second where he does that, that's when you press the button. And the thing is, it's weird, because I swear sometimes she has different timings for like different like approaches or whatnot. I don't know, sometimes when I run towards her, she steps to the side, and I don't know if that's like a different timing or attack she does, or if that's just because I pressed the button too early. I'm like very unsure about that, but thankfully in this attempt, like, she just did it the safe way every single time. She never went to the side, so I was able to kind of predict the grunts. And even like approaching her from the front, and she doesn't do any gimmickry, like, it's still kind of hard to like predict these like timings and all that. It's not easy. And there I missed my sniper rifle thing, but thankfully I was able to get up and hide behind that tree. But yeah, it's a pretty brutal fight. And you can take more stealthy approaches, but even the stealthy approaches, it's like hard to not take damage. And like, if you're trying to hide in the grass and sniper from across the map, which is my preferred way to play this fight, it takes a little longer, and it's like, kind of playing more into the stealth aspects of this game. But you're still gonna take damage, because it's kind of hard to like hip fire her a bunch of times, because the way she positions herself across trees doesn't really allow for like the tactical reloading spam with like the sniper rifle, like some of the other boss fights could be spammed. So like, I mean, that's like, she's hard, she's quite difficult, and she's a pretty fitting final boss fight for this game. Yeah, I really like her fight, but yeah, it's all about learning the timings and stuff. So it's gonna be a tough road, but you can do it with enough practice, and it will take a lot of practice.
Take this. Keep it safe. It's our only hope.
A patriot? Why are you giving me this?
Jack. Or should I say, Snake? You're a wonderful man. Kill me. Kill me now. Do it. There's only room for one boss and one snake.
Yeah, and that ends my video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all. Now, we have to pick the left gun. If you pick the left gun, that's the one with the bullet, and you won't take damage. Though, to be fair, the bullet I think Ocelot shoots at you is a blank, or the bullet which you shoot at him is also a blank. So, like, cool. And there's 3 endings you can get from this. 1, you pick the left gun and shoot him. Like, 2, you pick the left gun and don't shoot him. And 3, you pick the right gun. And yeah, also if you pick the right gun, I believe you actually get to keep that pistol for New Game Plus run. So that's one reason to go for the right gun. But I'm going for no damage, so I went for the left gun. But yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, I guess I'll next game. I mean, I want to play another Metal Gear game, but maybe I might do something in between Metal Gear. I don't know. But yeah, I want to do Metal Gear Solid 4. I'll probably do that game. I'll see y'all then.